Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, all sorts of good stuff. And joining me here today, as she joined me last night to watch a little bit of Lion King action, it's actress Erin Cummings. Erin, how you doing today?
Hakuna Matata, John. I am wearing my cat shirt in honor of the Lion King, and I have been singing the show tunes in my head all night and all morning. It was awesome.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth here in just a minute. Also joining us today is voice actress Kris Carr. Kris, how are you doing today?
I'm great, but I have so much FOMO. I wish I got to go with you guys. I'm so bummed.
It was so good. Another week or so, it's going to come out. And listen, guys, we are, by the way, we're going to go more in depth. We're going to do our review for Lion King. Yesterday, we shared some of the social media reviews. Today, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the actual reviews for the movie. Dave Bautista's new movie, it just got pushed. Not very good looking stuff. David Fincher has his first movie coming out since Gone Girl in 2014. He's just signed up to do a new one. Star Wars is introducing us to Sith Troopers. What the hell are those? Black Mask may be a gay character. What are the ramifications of that? That and a whole bunch more. But before we get to any of that stuff, let's go right off the top with that first thing. Now, of course, there are two Dave Bautista comedies supposedly supposed to be coming out within about a month of each other. We, of course, have Stuber, that's opening tonight in theaters everywhere. I'm going to go see it tonight. I'm going to see that and Crawl tonight. I'm going to go do a double feature. Anyway, we'll talk about those movies tomorrow. But then next month, he's supposed to have this other comedy called I Spy, or My Spy. That's what it is, My Spy. Dave Bautista, little girl, kind of got that Dwayne Johnson movie, or Vin Diesel, that Vin Diesel movie, the vibe, whatever. But that's supposed to come out next month. Well, apparently, not so much, because it was just announced this morning that Dave Bautista's comedy, My Spy, has been pushed out to an undisclosed date in 2020. Now, it is not the most unusual thing in the world for a movie to change release dates. It happens. What is a little bit unusual is when you get a movie changing release dates this close to when it's supposed to be coming out. And it's not a week or two, it's some undisclosed date in 2020. Now, there are a couple of theories as to why this possibly could be happening. Number one, maybe the studio thought better and thought, maybe we shouldn't release two Dave Bautista movies back to back so close to each other. That's a possibility, and I'm seeing some people online saying that already. However, they've known for a year that they had this other Dave Bautista movie opening up so close to it. Why wait till like a month before the release date of this thing to suddenly push it? That's something. I want to propose something else. And what I'm going to propose is not the best. Stuber's coming out. And despite the fact that I've heard really good things about it, the fact of the matter is that right now, Stuber, now that the official reviews are out, Stuber is only holding a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is way lower than I thought it would be. Now, Grant, I haven't seen it yet, but I know a number of people who've seen advanced screenings around the country, and they all said they really liked it. And now we're seeing some not so... I mean, look, 42% isn't the worst thing in the world. That's getting close to half the critics liking it. However, I cannot help but be a little bit suspicious that 24 hours after the official reviews for the one Dave Bautista movie comes out, that all of a sudden now we're getting an announcement. Now, I don't want to put on a tinfoil hat and pretend, Erin, that this is some big grand conspiracy, like it may be something else entirely, but I can't help it as a fan, just looking at it from the outside, be a little bit suspicious about this, and I think this raises some red flags. Changing movie dates is not always raising red flags, but this close to it, just when this other movie of his is coming out, I don't know. It's not a good look. Am I overreacting to that? What's the first thing that crosses your mind when you see this situation?
I'm in a really good mood today, so I'm just going to be the eternal optimist. I'm sorry, it's going to be super annoying, but I also think it's really interesting that this big news just happens to be coming out the day that Stuber is opening.
Right.
So any buzz is good buzz. Like I go back to the eye patch being on the wrong eye, whatever. We're talking about Dave Bautista. We're talking about Stuber, and I'm now even more interested. I want to go see Stuber. I have really high hopes for it. I love Dave Bautista. I think he's such a wonderful part of Guardians of the Galaxy for the parts that he is involved in. I find him really refreshing. And so I'm just going to be a little more positive on this and say this is actually something that maybe was quietly in the works all the time. And now they're causing some buzz, creating some drama, also that we can go see Stuber and then go, what do you mean? Dave Bautista's awesome. We want this in January 2020. Bring on more Dave Bautista. That's what I'm going with.
Kris, you hear about this. Is it are you more optimistic like Erin? Are you a little bit more pessimistic like me? Where do you fall on this?
Oh, I'm so cynical. Oh, gosh. I don't know if it's because I haven't had a coffee and I'm drinking a green juice and I hate everything. But, I really think my first thought when it said that there was a pushback was, oh, Stuber must be terrible. Oh, no. Which I'm still going to see because I love Dave Bautista and I love Kamal. I really, really want to go see this film. But my immediate reaction was, oh, yeah, this studio doesn't want to lose any more money. They're going to give us some distance between these two films.
Well, guys, the big question is, you're hearing about this. Are you more on the optimistic side? Are you more on the pessimistic side? Are you a little bit more of a conspiracy theorist, or maybe something more practical is at play here? Or maybe you got a completely different theory about this. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, let's go off to another thing off the top here, and that's this. We all have been talking a lot lately about the upcoming Disney streaming service, Disney Plus, for many good reasons. Not only is it launching later this year with the first live-action Star Wars television series in The Mandalorian being showrun by Jon Favreau, of course, who just did Lion King. So if that's not enough to get excited about, they're also going full throttle with their MCU stuff. We got Loki, we got WandaVision, we've got a Hawkeye thing. But one of the shows they got coming that maybe is getting the most people talking is the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Now, of course, we got Sebastian Stan coming back for that. We've got Emily Van Camp is coming. We got Daniel Bruhl is coming. Of course, Anthony Mackie is there as well. Well, another little piece of news just came out today about that will probably get a lot of people very excited. According to the reports right now, they've just added to the creative team of this, Falcon and Winter Soldier series. They've brought on board Derek Kolstad, who is the creator and writer of the John Wick films. This is basically what they're saying here. The folks over at Marvel, this is from our friends at Joe Blow, the folks over at Marvel are hard at work on their new slate of limited series around characters in the MCU, with perhaps the most eyes on the series centering around Bucky Barnes / Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, and Sam Wilson / Falcon, who is also the recently anointed Captain America. By the way, I disagree with that. I don't think Endgame necessarily anointed him the new Captain America. I think he just gave him the shield, but whatever. The 6-part series from showrunner-director Kari Skogland, who, of course, comes from The Handmaid's Tale, is moving along well. And as the team grows, it just got some additional firepower in the writer's room in John Wick writer Derek Kolstad, who may want to add a few good dogs to the story, which, of course, I would never be opposed to. This is big because I think for anybody, maybe not anybody, I think for the majority of people who are going to be excited about a Falcon and Winter Soldier show are probably also, I'm just guessing, John Wick fans. So you're going to take the creator and writer of John Wick, add him to this mix, to somebody who does a great job on things like The Handmaid's Tale. They're putting together a great team both in front of the camera, which is what we've been focusing on mostly, and they've been putting together this incredible team behind the camera as well. I think this is exciting. Does it guarantee it's going to be a great series? No, nothing does. But I think if you're a fan of this material, I think if you're even remotely looking forward to this show, I think this has got to be considered a coup. I think this has got to be considered big news and very exciting in what directions they may go. And I also think it speaks to the fact that they're going to put an emphasis and make a priority on the action of the series, because you're getting somebody who knows how to set that up. I think this is fantastic. Erin, am I being too optimistic about this? Is this really not a big deal? Or I don't know, how do you see it?
I want to watch this yesterday. I am so thrilled about this. I've seen John Wick, I've seen the first John Wick at least 5 times. Thank you, Tom Degnan, my husband, super fan. But we love the John Wick movies. I think that adding him as as such an integral part of this storytelling is so powerful to a story that we already are excited and familiar with. I mean, first of all, I could watch Sebastian Stan just do nothing. And I don't mean that. And I don't mean that because he's absurdly handsome. I mean, he has such an interesting look about him that even when he's not saying anything, he's saying so much. So I think he's a powerful actor. I love Anthony Mackie. He's wonderful in everything that he does. And the addition of these creative forces is just incredible. And I've seen every episode of The Handmaid's Tale like 17 times. So I just think there's nothing wrong with this at all. And I'm ready for this to come out immediately.
Kris, you hear about this. What's your reaction to it?
Oh, I'm so excited about it. And having the John Wick director makes so much sense. What is
Writer.
Bucky?
John
or
Wick,
writer,
yeah.
excuse me, writer. What is Bucky if not Captain's puppy? You know, it all makes sense. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited for this show. I'm so excited for more Agent 13 and to know more about her. It's going to be really, really fun, too, to have her in the mix there, Sharon Carter. And I also am going to politely disagree, John. He definitely was given that mantle of Captain America.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I think so.
I just don't see it. He doesn't have any superpowers. I don't think he can be. And I know he was in the comic and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care about that. Anyway, but maybe I'm dead wrong about this. Question is, guys, how do you feel about this? Is this something worth getting excited about like we are? Or maybe we're like overemphasizing this a little bit too much. What do you guys think? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to this. There was a little movie that had its premiere the other night and is coming out next week called The Lion King, which is, of course, based on the 1994 animated film that is basically in all ways absolute perfection. It is my all-time favorite animated film. I've run out of ways to describe how much I love the 94 thing. Now, yesterday, we talked on this show about the first social media reactions that have come out regarding Lion King, and they're all stellar. They're all fantastic. And I said myself that while I'm not saying that this movie is the unmitigated perfection of the 1994 animated one, this is a movie that is worthy of the name The Lion King. I absolutely adore this damn thing. I think the movie is wonderful. It's sweet. It's got the voice performances, especially the ones you weren't expecting. The voice performances were out of this world. It captures the spirit of it. It gives us the right amount of the exact same stuff from the original and just the right amount of some slightly different and new stuff. And this, I think, just added to it overall. But you know what? I've talked about it a little bit already. Erin, you came with me last night to go see it. And within, I think, 5 seconds of the film starting, you were grabbing my arm. Yes. And you were reaching for tissues and stuff like that. But anyway, your experience with The Lion King, what did you think about the film overall?
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And yes, I was grabbing tissues, but I'm going to warn you guys out there, this is not one of those opening of Up movies where you're wanting to just throw yourself out a window because you're so depressed. No, this is one of those movies where you're going to reach for the tissues because you're crying those happy tears of joy like your kindergartner just graduated and walked across the stage. This is so beautiful. I had to keep reminding myself that it was CGI because I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how did they get that field mouse to do that? How did they get that? I mean, I was thinking that these animal wranglers must be incredible pros, but in reality, the way that it looks, it's so beautifully shot. And as an adult, we're watching the movie and we feel such pride actually watching these characters because we know the story so well. At the same time, the shocking moments, spoiler alert, what Scar does, everybody knows that. Sorry, maybe there's somebody that hasn't seen Lion King. Even those moments I'm going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And it's nail biting. But again, I go back to the beauty of the way that it is portrayed. Personally, I think that every remake should now be done with lions. As much as I hate spiders, and I really, really hate spiders, that's how much I love cats. I mean, I even have cat ears on my phone. So this was a huge treat for me. But beyond that, the music, you'll recognize all of the songs, you'll sing along to them, but they have a new spin thanks to Pharrell Williams, who was the music.
He produced all the new top tunes.
Can You Feel the Love Tonight has Beyonce's signature stuff that she does, which adds a nice spin. I love the dynamic of the two hyenas portrayed by Keegan-Michael Key and Eric Andre. There's just a lot of fun stuff. As John said, there's some new dialogue that that. We're not going to spoil for you, but you just got to see it. And John Oliver is a big winner in this
as Zazu.
As Zazu, he really takes it home and does a beautiful performance. Great performances all across the board. Alfre Woodard, incredible. But I'm not usually someone that sees movies back to back because there's so many movies that I haven't seen that I need to see. But as my birthday treat to myself next Friday, I'm gonna go back and see this film again. Lion King was perfection.
Yeah, I my one regret was that I don't get to see it again now for a week, which sucks. I've seen it twice now. Billy Eichner, who I only really know from Parks and Rec, but as Timon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. And Seth Rogen, I think everybody thought, when we all heard Seth Rogen was going to be Pumbaa, everybody was like, I can't think of a better person to play Pumbaa than Seth Rogen. But those three, John Oliver, Billy Eichner, and Seth Rogen, I just thought, I'm not going to say they were better than, Rowan Atkinson or... Oh, who's the guy from The Birdcage that did the voice of Timon?
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane.
Yeah, I'm not going to say like they're better than those guys, but they brought something different, but equally brilliant.
Yes.
And I loved it. And you know what? I feel really weird saying it, but probably I was least impressed by Donald Glover and Beyonce.
Don't say it. Oh my gosh, the Beehive is going to come after you, John.
Yeah, I know. First of
They're coming. I can hear the buzzing already.
My wife is going to kill me for saying that. Like, her whole life is about Donald Glover right now. But, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're bad in it. Don't get me wrong at all. I'm just saying everything else stood out so amazingly that it's like, Beyonce did the voice of Nala and she did fine. Donald Glover did the voice of some. By the way, I got to count it next time, but I'm convinced that the young kid who does the voice of young Simba, I've seen the film twice now, I think he has almost double the amount of dialogue that Donald Glover does as Simba.
I don't think so.
And I think Nala had Nala doesn't have a lot of lines, and either as young Nala or as older Nala either. But, and by the way, the one big question mark I had going in was... Even though I love Chiwetel Ejiofor is one of my favorite actors in the world, but Jeremy Irons' Scar, those are some big shoes to step into.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he is so good as Scar. He just brought something to it, and his rendition of Be Prepared was perfect for the big screen, because I really think Be Prepared, the way it was done in the 94 original, which I love, I don't think it would have worked if they did it exactly the same way. In this one, you can do I Just Can't Wait to Be King pretty much the same way you do in the animated original, and that works in the live screen. So I thought that one would have been difficult to do, so they do a little bit of a different rendition of it. I think it's closer to the stage play rendition of it, and it was marvelous and fabulous. Visually, it's stupid. You just are constantly throughout the film reminding yourself, as Jon Favreau said when he got on the stage of the premiere, everything you see was generated in a computer. Except, he said, for one shot. There was one shot in the film, he said, that was not computer generated. See if you can guess what it is what he said. And I still can't tell. Now, not one scene, one shot. You are just constantly rubbing your eyes through this film, like in total amazement that this thing, like we are at this point of technology. And it's insane. It's delightful. It's fun. It's heartwarming. Is it, again, for me, is it the absolute unfettered perfection of the 94 original? Maybe not quite. But, oh my God, for a movie to call itself Lion King is pretty ambitious in the first place. They do it. They pull it off. Jon Favreau should do all motion capture movies from now on, forever and always, after doing The Jungle Book, and now he's done this. I'm just floored and amazed, and I love this movie. And I've decided after seeing it for a second time, it has replaced Booksmart as my favorite film of 2019 so far. I don't expect it to be my favorite film by the end of the year, but as of right now, Lion King is probably my favorite film of the year, just nudging out Booksmart by a little bit. So anyway, guys, that's our thoughts on Lion King. Now, they've done some advanced fan screenings as of last night. Have you been one of the lucky people who had a chance to see it? If not, where's your anticipation level for this movie right now? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that'll do it for all of our off-the-top things. Now, before we get into our main topics today, I want to take a moment and thank one of the sponsors of the John Campea Show, and that's our friends over at fanjecture.com. You guys know I'm a big sports fan. I love fantasy sports. Fanjecture is basically fantasy sports for movie fans. Check out this message from Fanjecture.
Show off your box office prediction skills. with Fanjexture. Fantasy sports for film fans. Play games like Fantasy Filmbook, a sportsbook-style game where the top films from the box office are matched up and given a spread and a total. Do your research and make your picks. Track your results as the box office numbers roll in. Compete for prizes every week. Always absolutely free. Visit fanjexture.com to learn more and play today.
And we want to thank, of course, our friends over at fanjexture.com for being one of the sponsors of our show. Go on over, check it out, play against me this week, and let's have some fun. Okay, guys, with that down, let's now move on to our main topics of the day. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really kind of simple. See, you guys select them by going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic's coming from Eliezer Ziela. Hey, John, one of your topics on the John Campea Show recently was about HBO Max and how Netflix could be in trouble. My question is, are we as customers the one in trouble? With so many streaming services coming out, it'll be very difficult for some of us to have access to the variety of content we used to have by being subscribed to just one or two streaming services. John, do you think that's going to be an issue for people?
It can be. Now, here's the first thing we got to keep in mind. I've been hearing a lot of people saying, just like you did in your message there, that, hey, you know, we used to get everything in just one or two things, either just one cable package, or we used to get everything we wanted in one or two streaming. But did you? Think about that. If Disney Plus wasn't coming, do you think they would have gone out and made a Mandalorian live action TV series for something other than a Disney dedicated service? I don't think so. If Disney Plus wasn't coming, would we be getting Falcon and Winter Soldier? I don't think so. Would we be getting a Loki series? I don't think so. If, you know, Amazon Prime wasn't around, would a number of the series that play on it actually get produced? I don't think so. See, with the positive side of this is that with the growing number of streaming services, there's a larger demand for content. There's more room for new content to get picked up. I would argue there are shows getting greenlit and things and property getting picked up today that 3 years ago would never have been picked up by anybody because there just wasn't enough room for it to get done. And that's one of the good things. Unfortunately, at the same time, it does kind of screw the customer a little bit in a certain way. And that's this. Now, for me to watch everything I want to watch, like for instance, I have you guys telling me all the time of shows and specials that I should be checking out. But quite often those shows or specials are on things that I don't have access to, or I could have if I wanted to buy another service. Whether that's Starz, or whether that's Showtime, or whether that's one of the other services out there that I currently don't have. Like right now I've got HBO Now, I've got Hulu, I've got Amazon Prime, and I got Netflix. So that's what I've got. Oh, and I got the ESPN, of course, because I'm me. But other than that, but a lot of times there's all this. And now we're finding out that Friends and The Office are being taken off Netflix. They're going to be going to the HBO Max series and going over to the Universal NBC streaming services coming out as well. We are going to get a lot more fragmentation coming along. And that's going to create a bit of a problem, guys. The problem is now to watch all the content that we want to see. Granted, there's a lot more content that we want to see now than before, but still, to see all the content that we're interested in seeing means we are going to be having to have 7, 8, 9 streaming services that we subscribe to. And at the end of the day, we're paying more money now than what we used to pay just for cable. And the whole reason I cut my cable about 9 years ago was to stop paying the outrageously high cable bills. And now, it's not like, oh, I can get all the shows that I like in this one, and then all the other ones don't have shows I like. There are good shows on Hulu. There's great originals on Amazon. There's going to be great originals on Disney Plus. There's going to be great originals on HBO Max. There's great originals on, they're going to be spread all over the place. And it is, I think, Erin, going to cause a dilemma for us viewers as to having now to pick and choose what we want to spend our dollars on. And I can't help but wonder if down the road there's going to be some bundling. I can't help but think about we're going to get into a period where there's this huge proliferation of streaming services and it's going to get out of hand. And then at some point the market will start to adjust itself where we're going to start to get some more bundled package that maybe I don't know, maybe a HBO Max and Disney Plus decide to go in on a special deal together where, hey, get both of these networks for a slightly lower price than if you just had them each individually, or I don't know, something along those lines. But yeah, I think in the immediate future, though, for the next year or two, I think consumers, us as audience members, we're going to be in a little bit of a dilemma because not everybody can afford to pay for all of these services. And sometimes even picking services that you're like, look, I paid for CBS All Access to watch one effing show. I had CBS All Access just so I could watch Star Trek Discovery. I mean, now they've got Picard coming, and that's great, but not everybody can do that, and it's going to cause a problem. Do you see this being a problem for people, Erin, or do you think maybe, I might be making much ado about nothing here?
No, it's certainly going to be a problem for some people, but when we talk about problems, that's a pretty good problem to have. Oh my gosh, there's too many shows that I want to watch that are too good. That's a great problem for us to have in the entertainment industry. And to your point, Stranger Things was notoriously passed on by every single network that the Duffer Brothers took it to until Netflix. So if we didn't have, like you said, if we didn't have all of these options for streaming services that were so desperate for content and in a content drought, a lot of these shows that we now are madly in love with, Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, they might not have had the opportunity to even be in our zeitgeist otherwise. So there's that. I do agree with you that yes, there's going to be bundling. I mean, I am old school, and I remember the days when we were like, oh, if we want Showtime, we can't get Cinemax and we can't get HBO. And then all of a sudden it was Showtime, Cinemax, and HBO, whatever, or however they bundled it. I don't remember. I didn't have any of them because I was the one kid on the block that didn't know what was going on in Fraggle Rock because my parents wouldn't get HBO. I know. And I'm still in therapy because of it. But yes, you're absolutely right. We will have to pick and choose. But what's going to come from that is these streaming platforms are really going to have to only offer they're going to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and then the cream will rise. And the streaming platforms that have their breakout shows like like Handmaid's Tale, Black Mirror, whatever, they're going to be the ones that survive. And then the ones that are fledgling, they're going to go, hey, can we bundle you guys with something? And they're the ones that are going to start making deals.
A little bit of a spoiler for you, just so you know what you missed out on. They danced their cares away. And their worries for another day. They let the music play.
See, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. All of these references are missed on me.
Look, listen, guys, what do you think about that? There are already a lot of streaming services that a lot of us are probably paying a lot of money for to get them, and there's even more on the way with content that we just don't want to miss. Do you think this creates a bit of a dilemma for us? Do you think they might get into bundling down the road? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, with that down and out of the way, Kris, what is our next main topic today?
Now we're hearing from Jagdeep Kinda. I have heard that Black Mask in Birds of Prey will be a gay character. Also, that a plot point of the story will be Black Mask trying to capture Cassandra Kane, who has stolen a diamond from him, which contains, quote, personal photos of himself, which he does not want getting out to the public. How do you guys feel about a gay character being portrayed as a villain? Also, what do you guys think about the plot point? Thank you and keep up the good work. John, do you think that this is going to be a issue? Do you think it's bad to highlight a homosexual character in a villainous light? Do you think it's just not an issue at all? How do you feel about it?
This is one of those wonderful times where I get to piss off everybody. There's not going to be anybody who likes me after this one, and I don't give an F. All right, so here's the thing. It's hard to emphasize enough how much I don't care. I don't care. Look, you're going to have... Everybody's going to be mad at this. I've been doing a little bit of reading online about this, and everybody's mad. Everybody's mad about it. And I think it is all, to quote a phrase I used earlier before, it's all much ado about nothing. Look, number one, what do I think about their having a gay villain in the movie? Well, I think it's about damn time. Look, we've been seeing some progress getting made. Look, we know for the longest time there's been an agenda in Hollywood to keep gay characters out of movies and TV shows. That's just been in existence for decades. We are seeing that that agenda getting dismantled lately, which is good, and we're seeing some progress. Black Lightning has one of their main characters as a gay character. White Canary in Legends of Tomorrow. Actually, they have a couple of gay characters in Legends of Tomorrow, which is great. We're seeing more and more and more of this happening in the superhero front. In the Marvel MCU, Valkyrie is said to be a bisexual character. Okay, so we're starting to see that. So we're seeing a number of heroes doing that. Why not expand it a little bit and say that a gay character can actually play the main antagonist? I think that's great. Why not? But ultimately, while I think it's great, I also really don't care. I don't care if a villain's gay or straight. I really don't. So you put on a villain up there and you say they're heterosexual and you show them being attracted to a woman. Fine, I don't care. Have your main villain being a gay character and showing them have some attraction to a man. I don't care as long as it's a good character. I don't give a flying F or 2 squirts of piss. I really don't. Now, so there's that. There, I just pissed off half of you. Now, let me get around to pissing off the other half, lest you feel neglected. So now I'm seeing some complaints online about, and this is funny because there's a rumor going around that one of the plot points of the movie is that one of the MacGuffins of the film is going to be this diamond, that within this gem there are pictures that are of a personal nature to Black Mask. Some people are already now taking that rumor, which, by the way, nobody's confirmed that this is true. So let's just keep that in mind. Nobody's confirmed that this little rumor is true at this point. So people are taking that rumor now and constructing narratives around an unsubstantiated rumor. So this is starting to get, I'm seeing people online saying, how dare Warner Brothers make the fact that, Black Mask is gay and he's embarrassed about that and he doesn't want the, it's like, wait a minute, first of all, Warner Brothers hasn't confirmed any of that. So let's not get all worked up about that just yet. The other thing that I think is, but even if it is true, the other thing you got to keep in mind is, who cares? Do you know how many antagonists in television shows and movies have had their MacGuffin or their motivation or their driving point to be hide potentially compromising photos of themselves, whether they were heterosexual or homosexual? It happens all. Hell, I finally just got around to watching Punisher season 2, and that's the exact plot point. Everything revolves around these rich evil people trying to keep these compromising photos from getting out to the public. Nobody complained then. So I don't know. I look at this and I see, it's like, oh my God, I feel like everybody in this world right now is just looking for a reason to be pissed off. Number one, it's an unsubstantiated rumor. Number two, even if it's true, okay, gay villain, yay. Okay, maybe it's because he's trying to keep away or hide compromising photos. Okay, we've seen that before. And before you get too worked up about it, remember that none of this might be real. Like, I see all these people engaging in these hypothetical anger rants and debates on something that might not even be the case. And they're even making things up. And so I would just say to everybody at this point, could Warner Brothers really screw this up? Yeah. It's not like they haven't screwed up things before, just like every studio. They might totally botch this, and they might do something really offensive to one side or the other. It might be the case. But as of right now, we've got nothing substantive to say it is. And even if the plot point is a compromising picture, blah, 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 well, let's see what they're doing with that concept. Maybe it'll be brilliant. Maybe it'll be provocative. Maybe it'll be thought-provoking. Maybe it'll be one of the most brilliant things we've ever seen. All I'm saying is, let's stop the practice of constructing full narratives around a rumor that has been completely unsubstantiated at this point. And even if it was true, we don't know the details of it. So let's just see it play out and then get upset if it warrants it. Or then just enjoy it if it warrants that. So, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to this. And I might be missing 15 majorly important points here. Maybe I'm overlooking something substantial here. Possibly. Fine. But that's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. Erin, you're hearing about all this and how it's playing out. What's your reaction to this when you see this sort of stuff come up?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to put all of these rumors to rest. I have on good authority that the compromising photos are actually Black Mask high school prom photos. So everybody can just relax and chill out. No, you know what? I've actually been thinking a lot about this, and being that I am a heterosexual woman, I called a friend of mine because I was like, I want to hear your perspective as a gay man and as a massive fanboy. So I called my friend Robin Briani, and we spoke this morning about it, and he said, you know what? Any representation is good representation. And another point that he brought up is Black Mask is not just a villain. He's not some mustache twirling, prissy boardroom. Excuse me, we're doing all the trope of a gay character where it's a caricature of a human being. He said Black Mask is really scary and sinister and dark and something that is feared and intimidating. The feared and intimidating are not necessarily characteristics that Hollywood has always given gay characters. So we're actually seeing a gay character portrayed in a way that is usually reserved for the heterosexual characters, the heterosexual male characters. And as a woman, I love the opportunity. I relish the opportunity to play a villain, to play a bad girl, especially when she's not a sexualized bad girl, but she's just getting to be a role that usually is reserved for the men. And so I agree with what Rob is saying. This is an opportunity for, and I believe it's Ewan McGregor has been cast in this role. Yeah, Ewan McGregor is a brilliant actor. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with this. Now, it reminds me a lot of when Rami Malek said, "Sure, I'll play a villain in Bond." Only on the condition that I'm not going to be a Muslim terrorist or some other religious ideology. We have seen the Arab terrorist trope so many times that, yes, I think that seeing certain people portrayed in certain ways is done. Like, we don't need to see that anymore. But this is a new type of character. And also, gay people run the spectrum. Some of them are heroes. Some of them are bad guys. Some of them are just doing, normal human stuff. And so I think that for this to be the first time that we're seeing such a prominent gay role, and it's also like the fact that he's a homosexual does not define his character. It was just said that there's some sexual tension with him and another character,
right,
which I think is going to be really exciting. And also, I just don't think that people are going to care. As much as when the movie comes out, I just don't think it's going to be as much of an issue for people who are naysayers, but representation matters. And if I'm a young gay boy who's looking up at the movie screen and I see that I can not only play the hero, not only play the villain, I can be anything, that's important. And I think it's a big milestone that we're reaching, and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah. So listen, guys. The question is, what do you think about this? Because I think, look, obviously this is a deeper issue. I'm looking at it from one perspective. I understand that. You probably looking at it from your own perspectives, all this kind of stuff. Do you think there's some seriously important stuff here? Are you like me where I don't give a fuck? I mean, what do you guys think about this? Jump down the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Remember, guys, we're all film fans here together. Be respectful of each other as you're sharing your different opinions. Jump on down there and let me know what you guys think. All right. Chris, with that down and out of the way, let's move on to the next main topic today. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Third topic's coming from Sean Clegg. Hey, John, I just read that Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown just joined Marvel's The Eternals. I personally love this casting. I love her as Eleven in Stranger Things, and I can't wait to finally see her with Marvel. I just got more excited for this movie. What do you think of the casting? Thanks. So what do you think of the casting, and who do you think she's going to be cast as?
Well, I mean, I guess the first thing we got to point out here is the obvious. This hasn't been confirmed by anybody yet. And by the way, all the headlines you're seeing that Millie Bobby Brown is going to be in this movie, it all comes from one line in one report that everybody took and ran with. Understandably so, because the one line from the one report is on Variety, but it wasn't their headline. Here's what we got from Variety. This is what they said in the report, and this is where all the headlines are coming from. Supreme Geek and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige is expected to unveil brand new franchise starters at the convention, talking about Comic-Con that comes up next week. At the convention in late July. Chief among them is The Eternals, a series about godlike alien beings to be adapted by indie director Chloe Zhao from The Riddler, which has widely been reported to star Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, and Richard Madden, as well as Stranger Things lead Millie Bobby Brown. That's it. This, for the first time ever, in this throwaway line in a story that wasn't even about the casting, it was a story about what's Marvel going to do at Comic-Con next week. It's blah, 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 at the bottom of, last line, bottom of paragraph 3, as well as Stranger Things lead Millie Bobby Brown. Blah, 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 and then they move on. It's like, wait, what? So understandably, because this is coming from Variety, a lot of sites took on that and they're making headlines out of it. And I get it. I do. I completely understand that because it is coming from Variety after all. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying we shouldn't believe it. All I'm saying at this point is let's just keep in mind that this was coming from final line of paragraph 3 of an article that was about something else. and now is being carried by other people for understandable reasons. I get it. Let's say it's true. Let's go on the assumption that it's true, and then next week at Comic-Con, Kevin Feige comes out and confirms this. He says, yeah, this is our cast for the Eternals, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, Keanu Reeves is also rumored to be in the film as well. So we'll find that out for sure next week as well. So let's assume for a second that this is true and this is real. Let me stay on my pattern today. Let me stay on the theme today of John saying unpopular things. I am not sold on Millie Bobby Brown as an actress yet. And here's why. I've seen her play one character, and that's in Stranger Things. And it's a certain type of character where, while I love the character, it's hard to tell if the person playing the character is, you know what I mean? Because of the nature of 11, right? With the nature of 11, it makes it difficult to tell, is this somebody with a lot of acting talent or not? I can't really tell. So my only other exposure to Millie Bobby Brown is in Godzilla. That's my only other exposure to her. And I wasn't all that impressed with her in Godzilla. Now, granted, I didn't like the film overall, but I really wasn't that impressed with her in that one movie. So I don't want to make too big of a deal of that because I've really, outside of Stranger Things, I've seen her in one thing. And it was a movie that wasn't all that good to start with, so I don't want to judge anybody who was in it too harshly. All I'm saying right now is, as of right now, I think the best way to put it, Erin, is that I haven't been, I'm not sold on Millie Bobby Brown yet. I'm not sold on her yet. Now, granted, recently, I wasn't sold on Zendaya either. I didn't like her all that much in Homecoming, all that kind of stuff. But I thought she was actually pretty good in The Greatest Showman. And then I saw her in Far From Home, and I'm like, okay, now I'm sold on her. And maybe that'll be the case with Millie Bobby Brown. But right now, if they do announce her, I'll be intrigued and I'll be open-minded. But admittedly, my first reaction won't be one of excitement because, again, right now, I'm just not sold on her yet. And I'm not crap talking her. I'm just saying my exposure to her is limited. This is where I'm at right now. Anyway, you're hearing about this rumor about her possibly joining this next big MCU film, maybe joining the likes of Kumail Nanjiani, Angelina Jolie, Christopher Reeve, Keanu Reeves. That would be a headline if Christopher Reeve was a major headline.
I would watch that.
But I don't know. You hear about this. What's your first reaction?
Well, I'm glad that you said it and not me because I don't want the arrows and daggers pointed in my direction. But I will happily take them. I got to agree with you, John. I'm not convinced yet. And the only issue actually that I had with season 3 of Stranger Things, which I loved and I binged obsessively, was the fact that, like, why is 11 still speaking in one-word sentences? Hasn't she been speaking for a while now? Like, she should, I mean, I know 2-year-olds that can construct better sentences than 11 is doing right now. So I'm a little confused, but that's not her fault.
That's the writing. That's the writing,
sure. That being said, I don't think that we have seen enough of her. What I would rather see her do instead of a Marvel movie where she's probably going to be stuck in a same kind of character world, a similar character is what I'm trying to say. I would like for her to do an indie drama or something like not Juno, because I think it's a little too mature, but
it sounds like Emma Watson took after Harry Potter.
Right, exactly. I want to see her go in a completely different direction as an actress so that she does not get boxed in and that she does not get limited in the way that Steven Seagal did. Bringing it back, drinking the Seagal juice. So I really want to see her do something completely different. And then maybe 5 years from now, she revisits that world of someone with superpowers and does a Marvel movie then. I just don't think that it's the right time for her. But I do think it's kind of weird that the Variety article is the only place that's mentioned, but it said widely reported that these are the people in it. Well, if it's widely reported,
I've never seen that.
Right. If it's widely reported, where was it? Right. Maybe it was widely reported that Angelina Jolie was in it, but this Stranger Things business, that the Millie Bobby Brown part is a little bit of a new story.
Kris, I mean, I know as somebody who after the earthquake on the 4th of July, you went and did a Stranger Things binge with people. And again, let me emphasize here, I enjoy her in Stranger Things. I just think it's one of those roles where it's hard to tell if somebody's quite good in it or if it's just the role. And I've only seen her in just one other thing. Maybe she's fantastic. Maybe she'll do great in Eternals. Again, I'm just saying I'm not sold. But as somebody who's a big fan of Stranger Things and somebody who's a big fan of the MCU, what's your first reaction when you hear about this possible casting?
You know, I'm kind of excited about it. And while Stranger Things, we're not sure about her acting maybe here with you guys. I love the idea of her not being able to speak in full sentences still. It makes me think of that Parks and Rec line. Are you Nell? From the movie Nell? But what I think is interesting here is the potential of who she'd be playing in the Eternals.
Right.
Because what most people are speculating based on her age is that she'd be kind of a gender-swapped version of the character Sprite, who was said to inspire William Shakespeare's Puck, is a trickster, is a more goofy, kind of deceivious character than what we've seen her play in Stranger Things, obviously. She can't lie, and friends don't lie. She'd do a completely different character. She'd be a small child Loki.
Right.
She still would have telekinetic powers, though. So that's another reason why I think people have been making this jump of, well, who's a small person right now? Who's a kid who could play someone with telekinesis? Oh, that girl who's 11. Yeah. Anyone can play that, guys. It's not real. Anyone could do it. Just because she's doing those nosebleeds. Those aren't real either. She's not nosebleeding on cue. So
that would be great method acting, though.
That'd be incredible.
That'd be amazing. If she could nosebleed
if she could Udahagen a nosebleed.
I can't tear on demand, let alone nosebleed on demand. That would be impressive.
I can do it too.
I was going to say.
So I don't know, guys. What do you think about this? Are you kind of like with me on this? It's like, hey, you know, it's just I don't know enough yet to be either excited or turned off by it. Are you thinking, no way, man? I just adore her. I loved her in Godzilla. I loved her in Stranger Things, and you're all for it. Are you just maybe taking more of an optimistic approach that, you know what? I just trust the casting of Marvel. If they cast her, that means she's the right person for it. Let me know what you guys think. Jump down in the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to the fourth main topic today. Kris, what is our fourth main topic today?
We're now hearing from Devin M. Hi, John and team. I just saw that David Fincher is finally coming back to direct a new movie, and that'll be a biopic on the guy who wrote the screenplay for Citizen Kane, Herman Mankiewicz. Adding to the interest is that apparently the script for this movie was written by Fincher's late father and will star Gary Oldman in the lead role. What do you guys think of this? What are your thoughts here?
Well, okay, look, first of all, it's fascinating. We haven't seen David Fincher direct a feature film since Gone Girl, which was awesome. And I might be wrong, but I think the film he did before that might have been, what was it? I think was the one he did before that, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Because I can't remember if he did one in between those.
He did a couple episodes of House of Cards, but that was the feature he did before that.
And I loved his rendition of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I was really bummed out that they decided not to just do a sequel with it. Daniel Craig, Mara Rooney, I guess there were some contractual problems, whatever, don't care. To hear him come back, number one, is great. To also have him come back to kind of tell a bit of a story of what a lot of people might consider to be the greatest film of all time in Citizen Kane. I don't, but a lot of people do, is also fascinating. Now, in case you're a little bit in the dark on this, here's the specific story. This comes to us, and it says, specific plot details are vague, but sources say that the story will follow Mankiewicz's tumultuous development of the script for Citizen Kane, which would go on to be considered one of the best films of all time, alongside director Orson Welles. Despite the film's critical success, the script was the only part of the film to win an Oscar. Now, I'm fascinated by this and for a couple of reasons. One is because it's David Fincher coming back, established that. Two, it's Gary Oldman doing a film with David Fincher. Amazing. Three, the source material being based on the story of the guy who wrote Citizen Kane. But the thing that might jump out to me, I'm not saying it's the most important aspect here, but might be the most interesting to me, is that this movie would be made on a script that was written by David Fincher's father prior to him passing away in 2003. So this is a script that his dad had written ages ago that he might pick up and now do on this. I'll tell you what, guys, I don't know that I've heard a story a piece of news about movies in the last year that I've heard that has fascinated me as much as this one. For all those aspects. It's Fincher, it's Gary Oldman, it's Citizen Kane, on a script written by his dad. I mean, this situation sounds like a movie plot in and of itself. So I'm excited about this. I'm intrigued by this. I think this sounds fascinating. I want to see this. Apparently it's going to be called Mank, which is, of course, a short version of the guy's name, Mankiewicz. Anyway, Erin, you're hearing about this. Is this exciting to you? Is this it's just another, what are you thinking about it?
I'm already preparing my hors d'oeuvres for the Oscar party that I'm going to be hosting when this sweeps everything. Gary Oldman is another actor that I will watch do absolutely nothing. He is brilliant in everything that he does. And I think Beloved is one of my favorite Gary Oldman films of all time, along with the Sid and Nancy, amazing. But David Fincher, for whatever people want to say about nepotism in Hollywood, and yes, it is a real thing, and sometimes it means that people that aren't necessarily so talented end up getting opportunities that otherwise should go to someone else. Whatever, you can complain about it all day long. It happens in every industry. We then sometimes hear a beautiful story like this, where someone who has followed in their parents' footsteps and gone into the movie industry is able to honor their parents by showcasing a work that would otherwise have been left on the shelves. And I think this is such a beautiful tribute to his late father, and a piece of work that is going, in David Fincher's very capable and beautiful hands, is just going to be a wonderful piece of work. I cannot wait to see this.
Yeah, and it's just a fascinating story on so many levels. Again, as the report said, there's not a lot of details right now. We'll find out more as we move forward, but right now I think this is amazing. Guys, what do you think about this? Do you think we're kind of overemphasizing how cool this sounds? Do you think maybe we're underplaying it? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, with that down, let's now move on to our final main topic today. Kris, what is our final main topic today?
I'm excited about this one. This is from Aaron Singer. What the hell is a Sith Trooper? All right, context. I just saw in my newsfeed that Lucasfilm is introducing Sith Troopers in the next Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker movie, and that Hot Toys, yay Rob, already has figures for them. I thought Kylo Ren wanted nothing to do with the Sith. Is this a cool-sounding name, or is there some sort of relevance to them using the old Jedi enemy name? Now, you obviously know a bunch about Star Wars. You got a role-playing game back here. What do you have to say about this, John?
Yeah, okay. First of all, I got to admit, last night when this first came across my newsfeed, I had to do a double take. I'm like, okay, somebody miswrote that. Just because there's a stormtrooper wearing red doesn't mean it's Sith, and it's just somebody editorializing. And then like, oh, wait a minute, no, this is coming from Lucasfilm? Sith Troopers? What? Okay, so here's the reason why some people, for those of you who don't know much about it and you're wondering, why are people getting excited? Isn't just more stormtroopers in red? And here's the look at what we're getting. Now, apparently at Comic-Con coming up, Lucasfilm is going to have an actual Sith Trooper costume used in the movie is going to be there alongside 7 other types of stormtroopers, everything from stormtroopers, snow troopers, first order troopers, biker troopers, beach troopers. They're going to have tons of different variations of stormtroopers, and one of them is going to be Sith Troopers. Now, the question is, why is Kylo Ren using Sith Troopers when he says he just wants the Sith to die? He just wants the Jedi and the Sith as the past, kill it, put it away, all that kind of stuff. It's like, why would he use these things called Sith Troopers, and what's the point of a Sith Trooper? Here's the thing. I don't think this has anything to do with Kylo Ren. I think this has nothing to do with Kylo Ren. This is all about Emperor Sheev Palpatine, ladies and gentlemen. Because remember, in the trailer that they played, the trailer ends with that infamous, completely recognizable cackle of the Emperor. I mean, that's what they did. And then they even had Ian McDiarmid come out on stage and say, "Run it again." And then they seem to, it's the Emperor, he's there. What I think, and again, this is me doing what movie fans should never do. All right, I'm about to do what we as movie fans shouldn't do. It's not good for us, but I'm going to construct an entire narrative around this one picture, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. I am telling you guys right now that the Emperor is not just waking up from some long coma after the Death Star that he was on got destroyed. No, he has been up and active, working in the shadows as the Sith do, and forming his own little army, and they are Sith Troopers. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I'm completely speculating as a fan would at this point, but I think it's pretty clear. The Emperor's back. We get these characters called Sith Troopers. I don't think it's rocket science to kind of put those two together. Again, to your point, Kylo Ren wants nothing to do with Sith. I can't see this being a First Order trooper. I can't see this being a part of Kylo Ren's organization if he hates the Sith that much or he's completely disinterested in the Sith, so that puts that aside. I think this is saying that Sheev Palpatine, the Emperor, has been active, he has been plotting, he has been waiting, he has been patient, and he's going to burst onto the scene in a way that pisses off both the First Order and the Resistance, now the New Rebellion. So that's how I see it. I think it looks damn cool, but then again, I think just about every variation of Stormtrooper armor looks cool, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think the armor looks pretty damn cool. Very similar to the First Order helmets, a lot chunkier around the body, a little bit more reminiscent of the original Star Wars designs. I'm digging it a lot. And look, you know me, guys. I'm a Star Wars guy, so therefore any little bit of information that looks kind of interesting to me is going to get me excited. But I'll be moving. I'll be honest with you. It's a little stiff right now. I'm seeing this picture. I love what I see. This is great. I'm excited. Yes! Anyway, Erin, you're taking a look at this. You're saying it's a red I don't know. What do you think about it?
Honestly, all I can think about is the fact that this October there are going to be sexy Sith Trooper costumes available on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes, there will.
And I'm horrified by that thought. I do think it's a cool costume, and I'm intrigued. Kris, what do you think?
Well, I'm interested to see how they're used in this because, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sith Troopers first came about in the Old Republic video games. And they weren't this similar design, but there were Sith Troopers who were the foot soldiers in the Jedi War or that Sith Second War. So I'm just trying to figure out their role in this. I know those other things have not been established as canon for this world.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I'm a little confused. You know, it's one of those things where my cup already has some knowledge in it and someone's pouring more knowledge and I'm going, no, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around what their purpose is going to be, where they came about, and hopefully the movie will answer all of those questions for us.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, look, and the other thing is true, like, I don't get what's with the red. Well, if you remember from the original Star Wars trilogy, he had his Imperial Guard. He had his the guards that all wore red, all that kind of stuff. So that's probably where the color comes from. It's just his color. Palpatine likes red, so
you
there
got to
you
be
go.
On brand.
Yeah, that's exactly. You got to be aware of your brand. Palpatine's all about branding. You can't take over the universe for a second time without good, solid messaging. So I don't know. Look, guys, I look at this. I think it looks great. My theory right now is that they are associated with Palpatine, not with Kylo Ren in the First Order. The important thing here, though, guys, is what do you think this comes from? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait to see where this is going. All right. With all that down, guys, that's all the main topics for today. We're going to take some of your live questions, but before we do, there's a bunch of other things going on in the world of entertainment and movie news that we simply don't have time to make main topics out of. But if you're watching the John Campea Show, we want to make sure you're caught up to date on all the stuff going on. So Fact Checker Jonathan proudly presents to you today's installment of the Movie News Feed. Check it out.
First up, before CBS All Access beams into this year's San Diego Comic-Con celebration, the network has revealed the first poster for Star Trek Picard. From JoBlo.com, starring Patrick Stewart as the former Captain Jean-Luc Picard, the new and highly anticipated series will find the character in a different time and place within his life. While details about the plot are scarce at this time, the upcoming CBS All Access Comic-Con panel will likely provide Trekkies with a significant amount of information for a show that promises to boldly go where other Star Trek iterations have yet to go before. It's all expected to happen during the Enter the Star Trek Universe panel on Saturday, July 20th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Hall H. Next up, Mindy Kaling's coming-of-age Netflix comedy series has found its lead. Newcomer Maitreyi Ramakrishnan has been cast in the lead role of Devi following a worldwide open casting call for the untitled series from Kaling. From Deadline, Ramakrishnan of Toronto, go Blue Jays, no not really, go Dodgers, I know John, it's not really a sport, was selected out of the 15,000 responses from around the world to Kaling's online post about the open casting call. This will be her on-screen debut. The series is based on Kaling's own childhood. It follows the complicated life of Devi, a modern-day first-generation Indian-American teenage girl. She's an overachieving high school sophomore who has a short fuse that gets her into difficult situations. Next up, Academy Award-winning actress Hilary Swank of $1 Million Baby has signed on to join the cast of Universal Pictures' forthcoming political thriller, The Hunt. From ComingSoon.net, further details on the plot and Swank's character are still being kept under wraps. The film is scheduled to hit theaters on September 27th. The Hunt is set to explore the escalating aggressiveness between the political right and left in modern-day America. The script comes from Damon Lindelof of Watchmen and The Leftovers. Next up, last fall, headlines were made when a series of pipe bombs were sent to several high-profile people. Actor Robert De Niro was one of those people. However, it turns out there's a bit more to the story. From Cinema Blend, the day that De Niro received the potentially dangerous device was also his first day on set of the movie Joker. Joker director Todd Phillips recently revealed that De Niro receiving the pipe bomb resulted in the FBI searching the set of the film. While the pipe bomb had been sent to the actor's New York office, the feds clearly wanted to be sure there wasn't a secondary device in a place where the actor was planning to be. Phillips was afraid the entire ordeal would make working with the accomplished actor difficult, but it apparently did not faze De Niro. According to Phillips, "We had FBI guys showing up to search the set, and I thought, oh god, what's he gonna be like? And he comes in like it's nothing, just ready to rock, knew his shit. He's amazing." The bomb sent to the actor was one of many sent to mostly political figures like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, though Robert De Niro is a politically vocal Hollywood star. And finally, do you remember hearing about the Momo Challenge when it went viral last year? As meme history will tell you, it was a viral game shared through messaging services like WhatsApp that supposedly encourages kids to hurt themselves and even commit suicide, all at the behest of a terrifying bird-faced woman who demands more violence and horror, like we don't have enough. From Slash Film, though there have been several news reports about this supposed dangerous challenge game, the reality is that it's all a hoax perpetrated by the internet, and there haven't been any videos or evidence to support the idea that this is something kids are actually doing. But the premise is enough to land the Momo Challenge a horror movie that is now in development. Orion Pictures and Vertigo Entertainment are teaming up with Taka Ichis to create a horror movie based on the haunting, mutated woman known as Momo. The premise feels like it could call back to Japanese horror imports like The Grudge and The Ring, especially since Vertigo and Taka Ichis were the ones who brought those franchises to the United States. And that will do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed.
And that gets you all caught up to date on all the stuff going on in the world of entertainment today. Thanks again to fact checker Jonathan for bringing that to us. All right, with that down, let's now move on to our live questions that you guys have been firing in. And we're going to get started with things here with this. Samuel C137 writes, where are we at here? I saw the clip of Hakuna Matata showed on Kimmel, and it looked like hot garbage. Please tell me that's an exception to the movie's look. Hey, you know what, Samuel? Here's the beautiful thing about films, man, is it's all subjective, and you looked at it and you saw a certain thing and you saw it a certain way. All I know is this. I've been in 2 audiences now that saw this movie. Both times, when Hakuna Matata ends, the entire theater erupted into applause. So maybe it was seeing it out of context. I don't know. But if you saw it and you felt that way, that's fine. All I know is that both times I saw this movie, the theater was electric when they were doing Hakuna Matata. Everybody loved it in theaters. So that's just my experience. I'm not speaking to yours. I'm speaking to mine. But Erin, did you feel anything different in the theater when we saw it?
I think this person needs to throw their television away because, like, if there's nothing about Lion King that is hot garbage, and Hakuna Matata is it's a real highlight in the movie. There's some. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are just some moments that I was grabbing your arm last night because I was like, "This is amazing." So sorry, hot garbage, not in Lion King.
No, I mean, again, look, it's all subjective. You're going to see it,
Sure,
but I'd say see it in context.
I disagree.
See it in context. All right. Andres Martinez writes, worst topping to put on pizza. You might want to say pineapple, and you wouldn't be wrong. Olives. Olives. Hate olives on pizza. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, sorry. Olives is just like, it's the scrotum of Satan. Are olives. I hate olives. They're just terrible. I would rather put sardines on pizza or anchovies on pizza before olives. But yeah, that's just kind of my feeling on that. All right, Willow Yang writes, will Kris and Erin be staying on the show for a long time? I don't want to get too attached, only to have them leave. Well, as is the case with everybody who has guested on the John Campea Show, who knows? We'll wait and see. Like, Erin is an actress and she gets work, so who knows how long it's going to be feasible for her to do it. And Kris is just trying this out for a while, so who knows? But there you go, guys. I mean, people are asking about you guys.
Thanks for being sweet.
Yeah,
that's
makes
nice.
us feel really
Willow's
good.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Good Canadian girl is Willow. All right. Next up, Andres Martinez writes, favorite Jeff Goldblum movie.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I'm going to go... I'm going to say the original Jurassic Park. I'm tempted to say The Fly, but I got to go original Jurassic Park. But either guys, anything different?
No, Jurassic Park, for feelings I did not understand. And I was like, hello, sir.
I just still love the chemistry between Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis in Earth Girls Are Easy. And it's also such a fun movie.
Yeah, I like him in everything. I love him in
He's
everything.
Great.
All right, Ben Rayner writes, with HBO Max and Disney Plus, is Apple Plus doomed? But that's what everybody's saying, right? Everybody's saying, oh, with Disney Plus, is Netflix doomed? With Disney Plus, is Amazon doomed? Look, Apple Plus hasn't even launched yet. I'll say this. Everything we've been hearing from Apple Plus, nothing is impressing me right now. But this is Apple, the most valuable company on the planet. So let's not count them out just yet. Andres Martinez writes, thoughts on Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men? Oh, it's wonderful. It's great. I mean, the premise is fantastic, beautifully acted. That big, long, continuous action shot, just remarkable. Joe Byram writes, what was y'all's last movie that you had to stand in a long line for? For me, I'd have to say Tim Burton's Batman. Before that, Jaws. It's been a while. I think the last time now, if we're not counting, the show times are so close together that the audience is still in the theater right now, so you got to stand in a line to wait to get in. If we're not counting that, because that can happen anytime. The last time I stood in line for a movie, because it was a theater without pre-assigned seats, it was for X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that was at a theater in Canada. And that's the last time. Can you guys remember the last time you actually had to go and stand in line to get into a movie?
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed to say what mine was.
No, come on. What is it?
It was Magic Mike.
Yes.
It was opening night. It was like all women. There were like hundreds of people. It was,
That's wonderful.
And it was a very entertaining crowd. The crowd was probably more entertaining than the movie was.
Magic Mike's a fun movie.
It's very fun.
It's a fun movie.
Especially with a bunch of horny old ladies.
What about you, Kris?
Mine was Watchmen, so I too was trying to see shirtless, butted men, I was just trying to see a big old blue guy.
Anne has this
But
Blu-ray
why was he
version.
blue? Oh, sorry.
Anne has this Blu-ray version of Magic Mike where there's a feature on it where it just plays all the strip numbers. Oh, and that's it. So quite often that's the one that she's playing on TV.
That's amazing.
All right, let's move on here. Kevin Lewis writes, if people didn't know X-Men Dark Phoenix was to be the last for Fox, would it have had bigger box office? No. Fact of the matter is the vast minority of people understood and knew. First of all, the vast minority of people even understood that Disney bought Fox. Fewer people knew that Fox made the X-Men films. And very few people in the general movie-going audience had any of that understanding that this is the last Fox X-Men movie. There are a lot of us in these circles. And of course, we knew it. You watch these types of shows. I do these types of shows. We knew it. But we represent a minority. So, no, I really don't think it would have made much difference in its overall box office. Andres Martinez writes, favorite Eddie Murphy movie? I've got to say, if we're not counting animated, I'm going to say Coming to America. Coming to America is probably my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. I don't know. You guys, just assuming not, because I would have said Shrek 2 if we were counting animated, but I'm not. What would you say is, Kris, start with you. What's your favorite Eddie Murphy film?
Definitely Coming to America would be one. Or Beverly Hills Cop. I love him in
Beverly Hills Cop is great. Erin?
Definitely Coming to America. Close second would be Nutty Professor.
Really?
I love him when he has just such an incredible way of blanking on the word,
modeling?
Just like becoming a different character. There's a word that I'm looking for and I can't find it. But just how he becomes just someone totally different. He did it in Coming to America. He did it beautifully in Nutty Professor. I think he's really funny in it. I liked him.
Let's move on here. Enigma Sword writes, what trope / cliche in entertainment do you hate most? Mine is resurrection / fake deaths. Action, anime, and superhero movies are the worst offender of this. Well, I've talked about this a lot, Enigma. My personal trope or cliche that I hate the most is, of course, the hero gets a phone call from Professor M. Let's just say Professor M. And Professor M says on the phone, I've discovered the villain's secret. And the hero says, what is the villain's secret? And Professor M says, not on the phone. Meet me at Murder Peak at midnight. And when that happens, you know Professor M is going to die before they ever get to the conversation. And it was like, why does nobody ever want to do it over the phone? If it's something important, I'm anxious to say it over the phone. But it happens all the time. That and the girl that the hero is in love with is dating or married to somebody, and inevitably that somebody is a jerk. So that's another big cliche. Also, sex is always clean and non-messy. So, at the formal party, the two leads can slip into a storage closet, rub body parts, and come out completely no fuss, no muss, no mess. But anyway, it's the meet me at murder's peak at midnight. That is my biggest cliche. Do you guys have a particular cliche that really bothers you when you see it in movies?
I think the sheet that's stuck to women.
And yet right down around the guy's waist.
Like that's always there.
Can you
and
buy
also
those at
soft
Bed Bath
lighting.
and Beyond?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We were watching that in Roadhouse the other day. Like Patrick Swayze is totally naked and she's already shown her breasts, and then she gets out of the bed and then she wraps it around. I'm like, why? What is she covering? Her butt? We just saw her boobs. Why does she care? My thing that I hate is the attractive and dumb or seemingly dumb girlfriend of the hero who has nothing to do and nothing to say, but she's basically just there for eye candy. I don't like that.
That happens. That happens. Okay, let's move on here. Joe Byram writes, which is the better 3D movie? Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin, or Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone? Saw both in theaters, and I'd say Space Hunters. Too bad the cute redhead never had a career after that. I'll be honest with you, Joe. I've never seen either. I've never seen Metal Storm, and I've never seen Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. So I have no opinion on that. Now, I think I know the answer to this, but Kris or Erin, have either of you seen either of these movies?
No, but with names like those, I'm going to now.
I haven't seen it. However, I'm going to IMDb because I want to know who that cute redhead is, because
Now I'm fascinated,
I
yeah.
guarantee you she has had a career after that, because the number of times that people reach out to me and go, hey, are you ever going to act again?
After Spartacus, and it's been like
Literally,
20
people
or 30
are like,
things.
when are you, I missed you from Spartacus. When are you going to come back to TV? And I'm like, I've been working for 10 years. IMDb me, guys. I'm on other shows. You're just not watching them.
All right, let's move on here. Chris Feldman writes, which is the lazier movie joke for a cheap laugh? Man gets hit in the groin, or a sweet old lady drops an F-bomb, or am I missing something even lazier? Here's the thing, Chris. Honestly, it's all about how it's used. It's about how it's used. Like, when a comedy is funny and it's in its groove, and they set up a scene perfectly where they can unexpectedly have a groin shot happen or an old person drop an F-bomb. If you set it up right and the comedy's already in its groove, it can be really effective. Where it really comes across as desperate is when you're watching a comedy you can tell is struggling and it doesn't know where to go for laughs, and then predictably and for no reason, just some groin shot happens just out of nowhere for no reason, or an F-bomb is dropped and you're solely that's when it's kind of desperate. But it can be used effectively. I've seen, like, it's kind of like a fart joke, right? Fart jokes are the lowest of the bottom of the barrel, but there are times in certain movies and in certain shows when it's been done and been done to really good effect. So it's almost like any other joke. Like, do you think one of them is particularly lazy, Erin, or one is lazier than the other?
Well, the only thing that's coming to mind right now is, what is this, CSI KFC?
Oh my God,
like
yeah.
that's just lazy. But no, I agree with you. It's all in the way that it's done.
You got any sort of, do you think one is lazier than the other, Chris?
I think all of those things are always funny, but
They're always
I
funny.
also have the humor of a 11-year-old. So
Fair enough. All right, Chris Feldman follows up with, is the Spider-Man chat companion video coming soon? Yeah, it should be coming today. It's been tough, guys, because you guys know my daily schedule. Plus, I've had the premiere, then I had another press screening last night. It's been tough for me to do the follow-up to the Spider-Man thing, but it is happening probably today, actually. I think it's actually, I'm going to get it done today, so keep your eyes open for that. Andres Martinez writes, John, Erin, and Kris, what is on your bucket list? Oh, that's too big, wide-ranging of a question, Andres. We're going to have to skip that. That's just too, we're not going to get into a 45-minute discussion. Climb a mountain, visit the Pope, I don't know, Kris?
work with the Muppets.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
a cool one. That's a cool one. Can't go any deeper than that, though. Nerd Guy writes, maybe Sith Troopers can actually hit a target. Of course, that's the big running joke in all of Star Wars, that the Stormtroopers cannot hit anything. Maybe these are the ones that can actually hit something. I like that,
We
nerd.
skipped a really good question.
Which one did we skip?
Who is Erin and Kris's favorite?
Oh, how did we go by that? Oh,
I don't know, but I saw that and I was like, I know. Who I want.
I skip them every once in a while. Okay. Who is Erin and Kris's favorite female superhero? Erin, let's start with you.
Oh my God, Medusa the Inhumans. I was at Apple Comics one day and I turned around and I saw this figurine and I was like, who is that? I had long red hair at the time, so clearly. And when I found out that she uses her hair as her superpower and that she and Black Box have this connection and that she can hear his thoughts and then she speaks to the people, like I'm actually getting emotional and I want to start crying because of it. And I remember reaching out to some comic book nerd friends of mine and I was like, when can we do Inhumans? Because I can be Medusa. And they were like, it's too obscure. It's never going to be done. And then it was done and it wasn't done that well.
So
and
poor.
No. Not well is far too kind.
Yeah.
Not well is far too
and
kind.
I would like to appeal to any of the people out there who have the ability to make the Inhumans happen. Again, I am your Medusa, and I will do her with honor.
What do you think, Kris? You got a favorite female superhero?
For DC, it'd be Zatanna. I
Right.
love her. And then for Marvel, Jessica Jones. You can't get better than her.
Again, it's another Marvel show I don't like. I know everybody gets mad at me when I say that. So many of the Marvel shows I didn't like, actually. There's only a couple I really did. All right, let's see. The nerd guy had the Sith Trooper one. Andres Martinez, favorite Alicia Vikander movie. I would have to say, and this is going to be unpopular because I think a lot of people are going to want to say Ex Machina, which is totally cool and I respect that. But I'm one of the guys who like more than most people Man from U.N.C.L.E. I loved that movie with Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill. I loved it. I thought that was a tragically underrated movie. So that's my favorite. Do you guys have a particular favorite Alicia Vikander role?
Mine is Ex Machina.
Ex Machina,
Sorry, I
yeah.
keep trying to say Deus Ex Machina.
That's a different
You know,
one.
when she swoops in and does something to save a plot. But I really liked her in Uncle. I agree. That was a very underrated film.
By the way, I liked her in Tomb Raider too. I thought she was quite good in Tomb Raider. But
I wanted Daisy Ridley to be Laura Croft. I
That
thought
could've
that
worked
would have
too.
been really cute.
Do you have a favorite Alicia Vikander movie or role, Erin?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not terribly familiar with her, but clearly I need to go and do some movie watching.
I also liked her in The Danish Girl, but anyway. Okay, let's move on here. Next up, Isaac Beebe writes, Strength and Honor, one of the great... I mean, seriously, I was saying that after seeing Gladiator. Me and my buddies were saying that to each other, thinking it made us cool, but it really wasn't. We just looked nerdy. But still, Strength and Honor is a great line. Dario J.L. writes, whatever happened to that New Line Cinema Wizard of Oz horror movie? Can you imagine killer munchkins in creepy environment? I would love to see that. Dario, honest, it's just one of those things. A lot of people think that when they hear about a movie getting developed, that means it's coming. Actually, 9 times out of 10, it never makes it to the screen. A lot of films go into, first of all, 1 out of every maybe 10,000 ideas get into some sort of development. Then maybe 1 out of every 10 movie that gets into actual development will actually ever get greenlit and get turned into a movie. It's a really small thing. And so that's why when you hear these reports about these movies, just understand it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. It doesn't mean it's really going to happen. Kevin Feige announced an Inhumans movie, and then it died. So I got Erin excited there for a second. So just keep that in mind. All right, Isaac Beebe writes, I do like the first Thor movie. I love the first Thor movie directed by Kenneth Branagh. But I've always hated the Dutch angles. It makes the movie so much harder to watch and gives me neck strain when I do. I'll be honest with you, Isaac, I don't know what you mean when you say the Dutch angles. I'm not familiar with what that means. I love this movie. I love the first Thor. It's a movie about fathers and sons. Anthony Hopkins is great in it. Tom Hiddleston's great in it. Chris Hemsworth kind of like was introduced to the world through that one, even though he was already in Star Trek before that. I just love that. Do you guys know what he's talking about when he says Dutch angles?
Isn't it a camera move of some kind?
Yeah, I'm assuming, but I don't know what it is
some
specifically.
Kind of tilt?
But all I know is that the cinematography for it worked for me. But now I'm going to watch it again, Isaac, and I'm going to keep my eye open for that. I'm going to see if I can figure out what you're talking about there. Because Cinema Reviews writes, one of two. Going to Comic-Con for the first time this year after 5 years of trying to get in. That's awesome. I love going to Comic-Con. I love going, and I'm going this year as well. Won't be able to this year, but hopefully next year I'll be able to cosplay as a Mandalorian Deathstroke. That's a great mashup. Like for those of you who don't know, like cosplay has been big for a long time. But what's been really popular lately, the last number of years especially, has been mashing up cosplay. Like Anne has got this Princess Leia, Princess Jasmine mashup costume that she has. That is great. And she walks around with this big Jabba the Hutt that's painted blue like a genie and has the chain attached to Jabba, like she's on the chain leash and stuff. It's great, but that's the big thing. that whole Deathstroke thing. If you guys gonna
That's
ever
so
do any
cool.
cosplaying and stuff like that?
I love cosplay. I usually only do it for Halloween, and I've done a couple conventions, and then I've done some stuff for the Lollipop Theater Network that helps bring movies to sick kids so they can see blockbusters while they're too sick to go out and see them. I got to dress up as Wonder Woman, and this cute little boy kept calling me Wonder Warren and introducing me to his friends. It was really, really cute. But I want to do something legit. We always do a big deal at Halloween, and like I've been Zatanna, I've been Jessica Jones, I've been Rizzo the Rat.
So that's great.
That's my spirit animal.
You ever do any dress up stuff?
I haven't. I'm a cosplay voyeur. I love watching it. One of my favorite things about going to Comic-Con has been actually seeing all of the creativity and the time and the dedication that people put into their costumes. And I actually am one of those people that will run up to someone and go, "Oh my God, your costume's amazing," and take pictures with them. I love it, love it, love it. It's not something that I'm in deep admiration of it. I haven't done it myself, not because I don't want to, just because I don't know. I think it's just next level creativity that I haven't been able to master yet, but I really, really love and enjoy people who do.
Yeah, and actually me and Kaori and about 5 other friends, we're doing a group cosplay this year at Comic-Con. We are dressing up as the crew from Super Mario Party. So yeah, you're gonna see us walking around. I think I'm Toad. I think they got me a Toad outfit. So yeah, there you go. Isaac Beebe writes, "I just booked my ticket to see Hugh Jackman's show. You know what? I booked my tickets twice, and I've had to cancel them twice. First, for those of you who don't know, Hugh Jackman has got a one-man show that he's touring around the world with right now, where he's doing musical numbers from Les Mis and from Greatest Showman and telling stories and all that kind of stuff. I think Hugh Jackman is, without equal, the greatest all-round entertainer in the world. There's nobody else on the planet that comes close as an overall entertainer. He can sing, he can dance, he can act. He's one of the best in the world at all of them. He's great. Anyway, Ann and I booked our tickets to see him at the Hollywood Bowl next Friday. And then we realized we're going to be at Comic-Con. Damn it. So we had to sell it. Then we found out, okay, well, there's tickets for Tuesday night, the night before we leave for Comic-Con, where he's playing at Pachanga. He's playing at Pachanga. So it's like, okay, let's book our tickets for that. And then we're going to get our tickets. And then we realized, you know, the scheduling of doing that and then what we got to do the next morning to get to Comic-Con and blah, blah, blah. It's not practical. And last night we gave up our tickets for the second time to Hugh Jackman. So I don't know. I'm going to have to fly to, I don't know, Baltimore or something at some point in the future to go see the show. But I've had to cancel my ticket twice. So good on you, Isaac. Have fun. Take some pictures and share them with me once you do. All right. Casinema Reviews writes, Chris, Avatar fan, right? Yes. Keep it going if you remember it. Leaves from the vine falling so slow, like fragile tiny shells drifting in the foam.
Oh, I don't know the words, but you're going to make me cry. For those of you who don't watch Avatar, that's when Iroh is singing to the grave of his son. And it also, dark. It's in this beautiful episode. Oh my gosh. Oof. It's in this beautiful episode called Tales of Ba Sing Se. And it's little vignettes of what's happening on while Team Avatar is kind of hunkered down in Ba Sing Se, a town in the Earth Kingdom. And in that little slice of life video that we see Iroh like prepping to go visit his son and do all this stuff. But then that episode itself was dedicated to Mako, the voiceover who played Iroh, who passed away. And it's so beautiful, and it's some of the best writing on Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's one of the best shows that's ever happened, and that's why I'm still talking about it 10 odd years later. Every week, basically, over at Nerdwire.
Okay, see, I'm glad you mentioned that part. That was in tribute to the voice actor who passed away, because I was about to make a joke about the character that passed away. So glad you just stopped me from doing that. Thank you so much. All right, Jose Garcia writes, my girlfriend is weird and never saw The Lion King growing up, so I can't wait to take her to see it and put her through the Mufasa death scene. I'll tell you what. we were in the premiere, and I'm pretty sure the woman sitting behind me had never seen it. And there are people in a movie that they have no filter between their brain and their mouth, and what their emotions they're feeling in their head comes out of their mouths. I actually get a kick out of those people in the theater. To me, it increases the fun sometimes, as long as they're not purposely being, irritating or annoying. And like the stampede starts happening, which is all in the original film too. and Mufasa starts to go down in there, and you can just hear this woman behind us going, no, no. And then every time, like the first time Mufasa gets hit, no, no. And then when Scar does what's no, no. It's like we're just laughing our guts out. And actually, Erin, sitting beside Erin, who has seen The Lion King many, many times, like Mufasa's down there, and it's like the first time he gets hit by wildebeest, you're like, like it's hard not to react. But it's going to be cool to see, like, somebody who hasn't seen The Lion King isn't going to have the emotional reaction to the opening scene that I did, where I cried like a baby. And Erin, where you were weeping up too in that first opening scene. Like, somebody who hasn't seen The Lion King, that's not going to happen for them, because that's a nostalgia thing. But yeah, it'd be great to see that with a person for the first time who doesn't know what's coming. That's pretty cool. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, pick one classic movie to see in IMAX theater. Wizard of Oz, 10 Commandments, original King Kong, or Lawrence of Arabia. Oh, that's easy. Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah. Because that movie, 50% of that movie is the cinematography. So I'm going to pick that. I don't really care all that much about IMAX, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick one to see out of Wizard of Oz, 10 Commandments, King Kong, or Lawrence of Arabia, I'm definitely going. I'm not saying it's the best movie on that list, but it is the best movie on that list. But I'm not necessarily saying that. It's just that on IMAX, that's me. What about you guys? Chris, if you could see any one of those things on a IMAX screen, Wizard of Oz, 10 Commandments, King Kong, or Lawrence of Arabia, which one's it going to be?
I'm honestly not interested in seeing any of those on IMAX. I guess Wizard of Oz. The only movies I'd go to screenings of for IMAX were when the Harry Potter movies were coming out. But for the most part, I think IMAX works best when it's, nature documentaries or space videos.
Absolutely. It really is. Yeah. Anyway, if you could just go see one of those, Erin, which one would it be?
I mean, definitely Wizard of Oz. Way too much sand in Lawrence of Arabia. You guys know how I feel about sand.
Just, you and Anakin Skywalker have a thing about sand. All right, let's move on. Ryan B. writes, but John, I can't believe you don't remember the song Ariel sang about the trials and tribulations of being a white mermaid. So where that's coming from was, it's like, look, in the original mythology, there's nothing about the skin pigmentation of Ariel. And I said, unless you can prove to me that her skin pigmentation looking like that of a Caucasian human, because she's not a Caucasian human, she's a bloody mermaid, which, spoiler alert, don't exist. Unless you can point out to me, and I said, so maybe there's a song in Little Mermaid about her singing it's tough being a white mermaid, because that would make it important that she's a white character. Then there, so that's a little bit of a callback. Well done, Ryan. All right. Akash Telly writes, the end of Paddington... Oh, I'm so happy you're bringing up Paddington. The end of Paddington 2 had me in tears. What a sweet ending. Those movies are so freaking good. I am telling you what, these are the most overlooked films in movies these days. Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 are... Look, I'll say this. If they make a Paddington 3 and it's on par with Paddington 1 and 2, it's in the discussion for top 3 greatest trilogies of all time. I'm not being facetious. The movies are that good. Like, you walk out with your heart full and a smile on your face, and they are charming and delightful. They epitomize what you can do with great filmmaking. Paddington 1 and 2 are amazing. And I still remember the first time me and John Schnepp, we went to go see the first Paddington because we had to. It was the press screening. We got to talk about blah, blah. And I just remember both John and I walking out of that going, what? How? How did they make... And then I go see Paddington 2 and it's even better. They are insanely good movies. And I don't know, have you guys seen any other of the Paddington movies?
No, but I need to.
I haven't. Everyone always talks about how amazing they are, especially the sequel.
Nobody's seen them. They are so good. They fill your heart. You feel like you're walking on air when you come out. You're just happy. You look at the world in a different way. And it's just, they are magnificent, fun, funny, entertaining, heartfelt, beautiful films. Beautiful films. So I'm glad you brought that up, Akash, because we simply do not talk about the Paddington movies enough. All right. Alan Valley writes, saw yesterday, thought it's got kind of cheesy towards the end. Always loved Danny Boyle films, but do you think they've gone downhill since Slumdog? I don't know. Did 127 Hours come out before or after Slumdog? I think it came out after Slumdog, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought 127 Hours was fantastic. And a lot of people love Trainspotting too. So I disagree. I don't think Danny Boyle's work has gone downhill at all. That's just my thing about that. What do you guys think about Danny Boyle?
I think he's still doing strong. I still need to see Yesterday, but I don't think there's been a decline at all.
All right. Next up, Let's see. Andres Martinez writes, thoughts on Donnie Darko? Hey, it's what introduced us all to Jake Gyllenhaal. It's such a weird, trippy little movie. It's got its place forever. Everybody will always know the name Donnie Darko. Tom Gillard writes, guys, see Crawl, biggest surprise movie 2019. I am excited about it. I'm doing a double feature tonight of Stuber and then Crawl later. I'll let you guys know tomorrow what I think, but I'm very excited to see it, Tom. Angel Chang writes, The Stranger Things 3 made me buy a Phoebe Cates standee. That was one of the great ongoing jokes in season 3, and it's not spoiling any plot points. Wait a minute, she's smart and she's hotter than Phoebe Cates. Like, that does kind of make you want to out and grab a standee of that. Okay, next thing up, Patrick Conway writes, Scar is the best movie villain over Thanos and Vader. Yeah, I'll disagree, but Scar is great. There's no doubt Scar is great. Fantastic. Sin Vendetta writes, when you say that a script to a movie is good or bad, have you actually read the script to that movie? Sometimes yes, but sometimes just the story structure. You can just tell, okay, this is a script issue. Like, this is how it comes from the script. Where they place certain characters and which types of characters they introduce or not. A lot of times it's direction, but when you look at the basic structure of a story, that's the script. And you can see that in the script. So oftentimes, yes, I can get access to a lot of scripts and I can read the scripts. So sometimes, yes. But oftentimes you don't need to read the script to tell when something's a script issue. And that comes across a lot. Erin, as an actress, somebody who's actually performed on screen a lot of these things, do you have an easier time picking out when something is a script issue, good or bad, or whether something is more the direction, good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell just in the way, like you said, with the way that the characters are structured. And if you're watching the movie and you're going, this doesn't make sense. Usually that's a script issue. If you're confused by what's going on and it's not like, intentional confusion, like what's that movie where all the buildings are bending? Inception. If you're not like going, I just don't know how they did this. If you're actually going, none of this makes any sense, that's a script issue.
Yeah, and that can happen a lot. Roman Bryant writes, my two biggest guilty pleasure movies are the two Scooby-Doo live-action movies. They are so terrible, but I love them. James Gunn wrote them both, by the way. Yeah, so James Gunn was involved in that, and of course, my friend... why am I freezing on? Oh, yeah, Freddie Prinze Geller. Freddie Prinze was in both of those. I always used to tease him about that when we were doing competitions against each other. But you know what's surprising to me? How often I hear people say, you know what, I like the Scooby-Doo movies. I'm like, really? I thought everybody disliked those. But I'm hearing more and more these days that there are people who like those movies, Roman. So you are not alone, my friend. You are not alone. Zen Trixie writes, Lupita Nyong'o is a beast of an actress. Us. Listen, the future ex-Mrs. Campea, she doesn't know this yet. Lupita Nyong'o, I have been in love with this woman. First of all, because the first thing I see is just how drop-dead gorgeous she is. Then I saw her in 12 Years a Slave, and it's like, oh my God, this girl could get an Academy Award nomination. And then she did go on and win the Academy Award, I believe, for that. And she's always great. And then I saw her in Us, and I don't love the movie. I don't love Us. But her performance in it, if the Academy Awards were held tomorrow, and they're not, but if they were held tomorrow, I don't see how she doesn't walk away with the Best Actress Award. She is a beast. She can, like, when you see her in Us versus the type of stuff, she's already shown an incredible dynamic range, different types of characters she can do. She even does voice acting stuff. I just love this girl. I don't know. Chris, what do you think about Lupita Nyong'o?
Oh, I'm obsessed with her. I have such a crush on her. She's incredible. Her work in Star Wars is wonderful. Yep. She's so good in that. She's great. Her work in Black Panther is great. Oh. Everything she's done so well. That's our next Meryl Streep.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. What do you think about Lupita?
I think she's phenomenal. Everything that she does, she's solid in. And that's what really marks an actor's career, is not the one big movie that they did.
Right.
It's really about the consistency of good work in everything that they do, whether it's a big blockbuster like Black Panther or it's a smaller sleeper hit that, people discover many years later. And the fact that she has come out the gate straight from Juilliard and immediately hit the ground running with brilliant performance after brilliant performance. I think that she has an incredibly long career, and our next Meryl Streep, or one of our next Meryl Streeps, is not necessarily a far off idea.
And Lupita, if you're watching, don't worry about the fact that I'm married. Anne says you can be on my list. So just throwing that out there. Cash Telly writes, I'm up for anything done by David Fincher. Good life philosophy, my friend. And this new film from his sounds fascinating to me. You look at his previous work. I still can't believe he hasn't directed a movie since Gone Girl. By the way, if you have not seen Gone Girl, effing watch Gone Girl. Freaking brilliant
so
movie.
good.
I mean, even who's the guy who played his lawyer in Gone Girl? And he's got the Medea movies. Why am I freezing on his name?
Tyler Perry?
Even Tyler Perry's really
Tyler
good
Perry's
in that
wonderful
movie.
in it.
He's so good in that movie. Go and see that. He's so good. JB Bonifacio writes, Bald Eagle, Griswold family, or Scoops, Troop, and why? I have no idea what we're talking about.
Griswold
I know the Griswold, that's
family.
Family Vacation. I know that, but what?
Scoops
The different groups in Stranger Things when they split up. So Scoops Troop is going to be the ice cream kids with Dustin and Erica.
Did they name themselves that?
Yeah, they did when they had their walkie
I totally
handles.
missed that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because they work at the ice cream.
Who was in which group?
So Scoops Troop were those kids.
The two kids who work at the ice cream
Yeah.
shop,
Okay, right.
and Dustin.
Eagle is going to be Murray and
bald guy.
Hopper.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, okay. Oh, just because I loved Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter as Robin, I'm going to go with
She
Scoops
is
Troop.
amazing.
She's
She was
so
great in it.
good,
Scoops
and I
Troop
didn't
for the
realize
win.
that she was their kid.
I didn't either.
halfway
Totally
through.
surprised me. Totally surprised me. Tom Gillard writes, taking a girl I have a crush on to Lion King so I can hold her while we both cry. Smooth, right? That, my friend, is called strategy. That's you're approaching this with thoughtful precision. Good call, Tom. Good call.
You got to be like John and take her to dinner first, or after the movie, though,
Yes,
so you can
yeah.
talk
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
dinner
first.
after the movie, and put your hand on the armrest so that whenever she needs to grab it, it's right there. Like put your arm on the armrest.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. This is a good call. And depending on the length of her nails, you might want to have a jacket on at the time.
True.
Okay, next up, David Tapia writes, can you share your San Diego Comic-Con panel and meetup details? Okay, I still don't have any details on the meetup. I haven't decided on the meetup details yet, but the Masters of the Web panel after Endgame, where does the comic book genre go from here? Is a panel with me, Fanboys director Kyle Newman, from G4 and Film Threat Chris Gore, the Schmodown Trivia Christian Harloff, and myself. We are going to be doing our panel Friday morning at 11 a.m. at the library. I can't remember the name of the library. I'll put up all the details on my social media later because they have announced all that kind of stuff, that the details are. So my panel will be on Friday morning at 11 a.m. Start making your plans to come and join us there. And once I figure out the details for the meet and greet, I'll share that with you guys. Let's see. Fanjecture, one of our sponsors here on the show, writes, now that you've seen Lion King, over under $205 million opening, you know what? It's so hard to tell. Just 200 is so big. It's so big. I mean, this movie's going to have a monstrous opening. It's going to be huge. 205? I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take under. That's just such an astronomically big number. I'm going to take the under on that. And I'm probably guessing like the 170 range, 180. It could get up to 205, but I'll take the under on that. Chris, do you think it's going to make more or less than $205 million on opening weekend?
I would say under. I think it's going to be high up. I would say like 1.8, but I feel like pushing it up there, the full over 200, I just don't know, especially with how underperformed everything in the box office kind of feels right now, except for like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything's been getting kind of a lukewarm reception. I don't know.
Erin, over under 205 million.
I started this show saying that I am really optimistic today, so I'm going to take the over.
You're going to take the over on 205 million. It's a huge number. It would be quite an
It is a
accomplishment if
huge
it
number,
does.
but again, like anybody can, like families can bring. This is a great family film. It's something to do during the summer. A lot of the kids are coming back from their first month of camp. I'm going to go for it.
All right. Next one comes to us from Evelyn, who writes, how do you think Far From Home will hold at the box office? Not well, because Lion King is coming out next week. I mean, it'll be number one at the box office again this week with Stuber and Crawl opening up. So Spider-Man Far From Home will still be number one at the box office this week, but then its run ends. Lion King comes out next week, and there's, in the words of Vincent McMahon, no chance in hell that it's going to be number one when Lion King comes out. Sked77 writes, red is the new chrome. What could go wrong? Well, it's the Sith color, though, guys. Don't forget, it's not the new chrome. It's the Sith color. Remember that. Artur Mansouri writes, over under 50% Joker makes more at the box office than Venom. Under. Joker is going to be R-rated, deeply adult, kind of different take on the movie. Now, over under 50% that it's going to be a better movie than Venom. And I quite enjoyed Venom. I think it's going to be a better movie than Venom. $800 million? No, I can't see that. Anything is possible. Like, I never thought Venom would make $800 million, and lo and behold, it did. I never thought Aquaman would make $1 billion, and lo and behold, it did. But R-rated, very adult-skewed kind of Joker, more of a psychological character study. It's going to be a hit, but $800 million hit? I don't think so. So I'm going to take well under 50%. What do you think, Kris? Over under 50%?
I would say under.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a character study. And it's one of those things, award movies don't have a huge box office, but they have critical acclaim.
Yeah.
That's typically how that runs,
Erin, do you think this Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix can make more than $800 million?
No. I mean, I'm being optimistic even by saying I think it's going to win an Academy Award for something, but it's not going to do that. It's not a comic book movie.
Yeah, it's a comic book movie that's not a comic book movie.
Yeah. Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. All right. David Downward writes, greetings from Kentucky. How are you doing, John, Rob, and gang? Well, Rob's not here today. Just bought the Terminator Anthology and Alien Quadrilogy, ready to binge. The Alien one, yeah. I mean, 1 and 2, couple of the greatest movies ever made. Terminator 1 and 2, couple of the greatest movies ever made. There are a few, let's say, loose screws in that machine. I'm not so big on any Alien movie outside of 1 and 2. I'm not big on any Terminator stuff outside of 1 and 2. But hey, listen, if those are things that you enjoy and you love them, that sounds like a good day of binging. So you enjoy yourself, Gavin.
That's my boobs.
What's that?
What?
My boobs.
What about your boobs?
I named them after my double.
That's right.
After my double mastectomy, after having breast cancer, I named my boobs Ripley and Sarah
That's
for
right.
Alien and Terminator.
And you have
That's
the
amazing.
tattoos.
and then I have their names tattooed on my rib cage on either side.
Totally forgot. But maybe
I'm like, aw.
maybe Gavin's doing that in honor of your boobs.
Thanks,
Aw,
Gavin.
Good job, Gavin.
All right, and let's see. Gavin follows up with, how does a theater get its number? The theater I go to is labeled AMC Newport on the Levy 20, and you've mentioned Burbank 16. Just curious how it gets its labeling. The number of theaters in the building. The AMC Burbank 16 has 16 theaters, screens in its building. I don't live in Newport at the Levy, but I'm willing to bet it's got the 20 in there. There's one called the Block 30. That's in Orange County, and it's got 30 screens. The AMC 6 in Burbank has, you guessed it, 6 screens. The AMC 8 in Burbank has 8 screens, so that's where they get their number from. There might be an exception or two of that around there, but that's generally speaking. Joe, and this will be the last question we do with Erin and Kris here, because I've kept them overtime already. Joe Leon writes, morning crew, Rob and Kris, well, Rob's not here today, obviously. Have you seen Mike's Zebra Man? Kind of like Gun Super, but with a henshin twist. Get John into it. I'm not even sure what it is we're talking about. Are you familiar with it? I'm not familiar with it at all.
No, not at all. I'm familiar with Super.
But yeah,
But,
Super was great.
I mean, nothing else in that sentence. I know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sure if Rob was here, he'd probably know that. So
Yeah.
Rob would know.
Rob would
really
know.
good at that.
Let's make the next one the last one then. Django19 writes, did you ever see the Creed 2 deleted scene with Stallone? Drago's in the locker room after the fight. It shows the respect they still have for one another. I did not see the deleted scene as actually, but you know what? I remember watching that movie and thinking it needed one of those scenes at the end. It needed one more scene after the big fight with Rocky and Drago together, because of how the final fight unfolds and how it concludes and all that kind of stuff. And I won't spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, but I thought that scene would have been needed, and it's good to know that they actually shot that scene. Did either of you guys have a chance to see Creed 2?
I haven't seen the first Creed.
The first Creed's amazing. Second Creed's not as good as the first one, but still quite good. But that one's actually really, really good as well. All right, guys, listen. That will do it today for Erin and Kris. Now, I'm going to keep doing these questions until we sign out here. But, these are both working actresses. They have things they got to go and do. So we're going to say goodbye. So, Erin, let's start with you. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks for being my date last night to Lion King. And my arm is going to recover here pretty soon. Anyway, where can people find you? Where can people find you online?
I am online at Erin L. Cummings on Instagram and Twitter. And I have a Facebook page as well. Erin Cummings Facebook page, official, something like that. And also, if you are listening to podcasts on CastBox, iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts, please check out my podcast. It's called Kappa Kappa Cancer, Your Guide to the Sorority You Never Wanted to Join. And I promise you, it's a lot more funny than it is depressing. So tune in. Our first episode is Stupid, SHIT, that people say when you have cancer, and it's highly
And I'm
entertaining.
on it.
And you are on it. John is my co-host,
That's
so
right.
you got to tune in
On the first episode. On the
on the first episode, but
All
not
right.
the last.
And Kris, where can people find you when you're not dressing up and bringing blockbuster films to sick kids?
You can find me online at actor Kris Carr, KRISCARR, across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. On Instagram, you're going to see a lot of pictures of Cape Cod because that's where I'm going to be for the next week. So I won't be seeing y'all for a little bit.
And guys, thank you so much for being here, you two, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. Thanks, guys.
John.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, with all that down, let's keep on going here. We still got about another 20 minutes or so. Let's keep going with your live questions. All right, Django19 writes, are press screenings reserved seating? Sometimes they are. Oftentimes they're not. I wish they were. Like, premieres are always reserved seating. But the press screenings, sometimes they are, but like last night at Lion King, like me and Erin went down actually kind of early just to make sure we got the seats that I wanted to get. So no, oftentimes the press screenings are not reserved seating, except for when it's a press screening where they also let like some contest winners come. So quite often like radio stations will have see an advanced screening or whatever. That's actually to press screenings they let them go to. So what they'll do is they'll have whole sections reserved for the press, and then everybody else takes the other seats. And that's how they do that. But no, a lot of the times they're not reserved seating for press screenings. Universal, but then you don't have to worry about there not being enough seats because they make sure they don't over-invite people most of the time. Universal Bullets writes, keep one, delete one. Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 or X-Men 2. Oh my God, that's a Sophie's choice. Okay. I'm going to say this. Wow. Okay. I keep X-Men 2. I love Spider-Man 2. Love it. But X-Men 2 is just too important of a film as well. So I guess I have to delete Spider-Man 2 and keep X-Men 2. All right. Smelly Negro. I love that name. Which hockey movie chant I swallow knickers come? No idea. Dark Monolith Expanse writes, yo, John, I've been following you since the AMC days, and your show helps keep my passion as an editor, visual artist alive. Keep on bringing the filthy. Well, thank you so much, Dark Monolith. I really appreciate that. It's always cool when somebody wants to write in something just to say something nice. And I love that when I'm able to get messages from people to say, hey, just talking about all this creative stuff inspires people to get involved in the creative stuff. And that's great. And I'm glad you're here for it. And good luck on all the stuff that you're doing, man. All right. Nicholas Priera writes, diversity in art in general is a good thing, obvious. But when it's informally imposed by lobbies and capitalism, it's another story. That's BS. That's absolute BS. Look, the fact of the matter is a lot of things that people call agendas today are really just the dismantling and the rejection of long-held agendas that people are trying to get rid of. Nobody's been able to point me to things. Look, here's the thing. I remember I keep getting these arguments from people saying, oh, we've got 2 films in a row here. We had a movie with Captain Marvel and then one before that with a black lead actor, and there's an agenda. Okay, then how come the 21 MCU films in a row that all had white male leads, white male straight leads, 20 films in a row, how come that wasn't an agenda? Was that imposed? Was that lobbies and capitalism putting in just 21 films in a row, white male straight leads? 21. Can you imagine how people would lose their mind if the MCU put out 20 films in a row with a gay lead? Can you imagine how much people would lose their mind? They put out 1 film with a gay lead and people start screaming agenda. Can you imagine if they put 20 films in a row with either a black lead, a gay lead, a female lead? Can you imagine if they did 20 films in a row like that? But they did 20 films in a row with somebody other than that, and it's all cool. And they're like, I don't care who you are. I don't see it. It is not an agenda to put them in. It's the dismantling of the agendas to keep them out. And that's the way. And I don't care who you are. I mean, that's just the way it is. Get rid of the agendas to keep people out. You do that, and all of a sudden people start screaming agenda, and it's totally ass backwards thinking, in my opinion. All right, Nicholas Priera writes, I'm black, but I don't expect anything from Hollywood in terms of morals. It's not famous for being a place where philanthropists or leftists work. Again, it's not about doing things. It's about ending the agenda of keeping people out. It's the refusing to give roles to people who aren't white males. That's been an agenda that old Hollywood will admit has been an agenda for decades and decades and decades and decades. They admit it. It's not a secret. It's the ending of those agendas that need to happen, and that's important. All right. Don't know what to put writes, did you know Genevieve Bujold was first cast as Captain Janeway? She carried a riding crop as an affection. She only partly filmed the pilot. I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. So no, I did not know that. But I bet you Rob did know, because Rob seems to know everything about Star Trek. But I did not know that. I'll be honest with you. Off the top of my head, I'm not even sure who that is. Baby Boy 8603 writes, the Lion King soundtrack just released today. Which soundtrack do you enjoy more, The Lion King or Aladdin? Thanks for everything you do. Ooh, Aladdin. I like the Lion King movie more than Aladdin, but I like the Aladdin soundtrack more than the Lion King. And they're both great. I like them both, just like I like both movies. But as a movie, I prefer Lion King over Aladdin. For pure soundtrack, I like Aladdin over Lion King. JMeister25 writes, so it's red. Yay, new toys. Hashtag cheap creativity. Well, no, it's consistent. It's not cheap creativity. It's consistency. Like, this is what they have done. If the Emperor Palpatine instituted, that my Stormtroopers were this, it would make sense that he would be consistent of that he's making Sith Troopers. It's for me, it's narrative consistency, nothing but. Don't know what to put writes, I learned from grandma you could get away with saying almost anything if you followed up with, bless his heart. He's an idiot, bless his heart. It kind of reminds me of the running joke of all due respect. All due respect. You can, like, people will say absolutely stupid stuff and say, all due respect. Well, no, like, you can't say, go F your mother, all due respect. No, you've kind of thrown that out the window. So it is true. Some people think if you put a little caveat at the end, that makes it okay, when really it doesn't make it okay. Matthew, depending on who it is, of course. Matthew Grant writes, just finished Flash season 5, no joke. Aaron is the best villain of the season and pretty much best villain of the season pretty much. Fred Christopher Klein cannot do evil voice. It's so bad. Look, I really did enjoy this season of The Flash. It wasn't my favorite season, but it was much better than the previous season. And of course, Aaron, who just left, was one of the villains this season, playing Block. I love Klein, but that him talking like this got really old really fast. And I highly doubt that was him. I bet that's just the direction they gave him. Whenever he's talking, he should talk like this. It worked for Christian Bale, so I'm going to do it too. Like, that part, I like the character. Like, I like the Cicada's character. I did not like that, though. That got really old really fast, Matthew. I'm with you on that. So bad. Robert Perez writes, Aaron, I'm here for the job, not your dick. So where that comes from is Aaron tells the story about one of her, I think it was in her first year or two in Hollywood, and there was an agent from a prestigious agency. I'm not going to name the agency. But I said, hey, you want to get together for lunch? And blah, blah, blah. And basically spilled out to her, yeah, we'll help you get your roles, but, you got to, jump in bed with me, whatever. And her great line that she gave, I'm here for a job, not your dick. I love that line. TJ Thomas writes, John Campea, I don't see how anyone would dislike the new Lion King. Armand White, hold my beer. Yeah, well, Armand White, there you go. And listen, I am sure, like, I talked to one or two other people last night who didn't like the new Lion King. To me, it's one of, every once in a while, lots of movies I don't like, I'll go, but I could see how people would like it. But sometimes I see a movie that to me is so bad, I go, I can't, like, it's all subjective and I respect if you like it, but it's so bad to me, I can't wrap my head around why you would. I respect that maybe you do, and that's fine. I just can't wrap my head around that because to me, the movie's so bad. Also, sometimes, most of the time I see a movie I like and I go, but I can see how somebody wouldn't like it. But sometimes I see a movie that I enjoy so much, I go, I respect if you don't like it because it's all subjective. I just can't wrap my head around it because to me, the movie's so good. But we all have that, right? We all have those movies to us. And yeah, Armand White, unfortunately, is a bit of a contrarian. And so, yeah, I'm sure he'll do that. Rob Perez writes, so what happened to the Knights of Ren? They're going to be in the new movie. They've confirmed that Knights of Ren are going to play a significant part in the new movie. How big of a significant part, we're not sure. It's just called a significant part of the new movie. TJ Thomas writes, John Campea, oh, wait a second. We already did that one. Wait a second. He just accidentally copied and pasted himself. Sorry about that, TJ. Connor McEwen writes, I love Endgame for the first time. I get bored now. You know what? I love Endgame. I saw it 4 times in theaters. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to see this 5 or 6 times in theaters. I think I was done with it, though, after 4, and I never did go back to watch it a 5th time. Now, I'll get it. The day it's available on home streaming, I'm getting it. And I'm going to watch it the day it comes out at home. But, yeah, as far as going back into the theaters go, I was done with it. In that, I've seen it 4 times in theaters. I'm good. I'm good. I love this movie, but I'm good at 4. I have a feeling if I'd rushed back out in theaters to see it again immediately for a 5th time, I might have started to get a little bit tired of it, maybe a little bit bored of it. But I mean, but it's the same as most movies. If I see a movie, I don't see many movies 5 times in theaters. But if I do, at some point, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to get a little bit bored of it. That happens. Look, I've seen movies 1 time in theater that I think is more exciting than other movies I've seen 5 times in theaters. But, sometimes that happens. All right. Jonathan Joyner writes, "Hey, John, in light of the Spidey contract with Marvel, do you think Disney potentially shot themselves in the foot if it falls shy of $1 billion for opening Lion King weeks after Far From Home?" Well, I don't really think it's an issue, Jonathan. What Jonathan's referring to is we talked about this on the John Campea Show the other day, that reports have come out that within the contract between Sony and Marvel, which allows Marvel to use Spider-Man Sony allows Marvel to use Spider-Man in the MCU, is an item that says if this Spider-Man movie, the second standalone Spider-Man movie, Far From Home, doesn't make $1 billion at the box office, Sony has the option to end the deal and just take Spider-Man back right now. However, if the new film does make $1 billion, then that triggers a clause that says Disney now has the right to make a 3rd one. Sony will allow them to make a 3rd one. That's in the agreement. If it doesn't make $1 billion, I think the point is actually moot, Jonathan, because I think everybody knows Sony's not taking Spider-Man back. They don't want to. Sony knows that their partnership with Marvel is working. And Sony knows them making comic book movies without Spider-Man in their universe is also working. They did Venom, which was tons of fun, made over $800 million. They did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. So I think they all know. I think everybody knows that even if Far From Home doesn't make $1 billion, and it will, but even if it didn't, I think we all know Sony's not going to take it back. This is exactly what Sony wants right now. Everything is working out exactly as Sony would want it. They love having Spider-Man over in the MCU, making them tons of money, and they love being able to make their own successful films without having to have Spider-Man over there in order to make money. They're making money with their left hand and with their right hand. So no, I don't think Disney shot themselves in the foot. I think they're very aware of the situation. I think they and Sony are in constant communication about it. So no, I don't think they shot themselves in the foot, even if Far From Home doesn't make $1 billion, and I do believe, sir, that it will. All right, don't know what to put writes. John, do you ever see Last Night with Sandra Oh? No, I don't. Well, you know what? Sometimes I say no, and then I look it up and go, oh, wait a minute, I did see that. Let me just double check here. I do like Sandra Oh a lot, though. Last Night, Sandra Oh. Hold on, let me see this here. Where is it? Came out in 1988, and it starred... You know what? I don't recognize it. Dominic, Sandra Oh, Roberta Maxwell. So this is long before Sandra Oh was beat. Oh, Sarah Polley was in it too. Okay, that's it. David Cronenberg was in it? No, I've never even heard of this film. Don't know what to put. That's interesting. All right, thanks for putting that on my radar. Let's see. Matthew Grant writes, how was Lord of the Rings with Erin? We didn't do it. Something came up because of her acting career. We weren't able to do it, so we got to reschedule. We're going to do that another time. But thank you for asking. DJ Titus writes, Spider-Man Far From Home, Lion King, and TV show. Year of Favreau. Oh, tell you what. Well, Favreau, he plays a small-ish supporting role in Spider-Man Far From Home. So there's that. But yeah, Lion King, going to be in theaters while he's in theater with his movie he directed. While Spider-Man Far From Home, a movie he's one of the stars of, and then later this year, The Mandalorian coming out that he's the showrunner of. I think, DJ, it's going to be hard to make an argument for somebody else claiming the year of. Right now, it really... for all we know, The Mandalorian comes out and it's going to suck. I don't think it will, but it might, right? Everything can suck. Mandalorian might suck, and maybe this is a different conversation. But if Mandalorian is as good as it looks... then I don't see how you don't proclaim this the year of Jon Favreau. It's going to be difficult to make a case for anybody else other than him. William Hines writes, will we get snap fatigue if every new MCU movie addresses what happened after Endgame like Spider-Man does? Or is Spider-Man the last to mention it? Well, look, lots of movies still reference World War II. Not every movie's about World War II, but lots of movies and TV shows will make at some point a reference to World War II, or a reference to 9/11, or a reference to some major global event. Nothing in the history of the planet has ever been as significant as the sudden killing of half the population of the world. It would feel odd if it doesn't at least get mentioned, right? Something that significant, just nobody ever talks about it, never brought up. I mean, so I don't think, look, if every MCU movie moving forward makes the people dealing with the events of the snap and the blip and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, we'll get tired of hearing it. But to have it be mentioned and referenced would feel unnatural if they didn't do it. I don't know. That's just the way I kind of see it at this point. Don't know what to put. Writes, Netflix and chill, what is the equivalent of HBO Max? It is Netflix and chill has just kind of become a generic term for, sitting at home and watching something and doing it with a date. Just like Xeroxing became synonymous with making photocopies, even if you were using a photocopier that wasn't a Xerox machine. I think it will still remain Netflix and chill, I believe. The Darman writes, Lion King launches with a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I think I saw that with the first 30 reviews came out and a few of them didn't like it, didn't give it a positive review, which again to me is weird and odd, but hey, it is what it is. There's a lot of people going with a lot of expectations. This is not a movie. No movie is for everybody. I love it and adore it, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to love it and adore it. Like I'd love and adore Man of Steel. But Man of Steel's got like a 50-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hey, that's what it is. Let's see. All I can tell you is that the audiences I saw it with lost their minds for it. Let's see. Anvron Clothing writes, what days are you going to be at San Diego Comic-Con all for? Yeah, I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con for all I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll be there for 5 days. So I'll be there for 5 days. Dangerous Lee writes, hey, John, sorry if I've already been asked, but did you enjoy Punisher Season 2? Personally, I was disappointed with it. I loved it. I really did enjoy it. Did I like it as much as Punisher Season 1? I go back and forth on that. I'm going to say no, maybe not as much as Season 1. But yeah, I did quite enjoy it. I really did. I'm so glad I finally got around to watching that and finishing that. ZMG Ruler, Lion King 67%. So far, 53 MC. I don't know what MC means. Or Metacritic. There you go. Surprising. That is surprising, as a matter of fact. Where are we at here? Don't know what to put. Writes, help preserve wildlife. Pickle a squirrel today. I don't know if that's a reference to something. If it is, I don't know it. Terrell Coates writes, the streaming war ends with Netflix Prime. Believe. A few other people suggested the idea of either Amazon buying Netflix or Netflix buying, which Netflix could never buy Amazon. But I don't know that Amazon has enough fluid capital that they could buy Netflix. The value of Netflix is it's got to be close to $100 billion. I don't think Amazon has the fluid capital that they can just buy it. And they may be worth that, but they don't have the fluid capital they can buy it. So I don't know. It would be an interesting combination, though, if Amazon were to buy Netflix and just call it Netflix Prime. A couple other people suggested that, Terrell. Sam Nijsen writes, hey, John, really looking forward to The Lion King, but the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes aren't that great. Again, I haven't had a chance to go through them yet. Even the starting number to me sounds low. But hey, it is what it is. Again, I'm the guy who loves Man of Steel, and the critics didn't like that one either. Let's see. Brandon Plummer writes, bringing Maguire or Garfield back as Spider would be strange, but how would you feel about bringing them back as others like Scarlet Spider or 2099? Terrible. I think it's a terrible, terrible idea. I've said that consistently from the beginning. I like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I love the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, but bringing them in would be a cheap, stupid shtick that was great for a Saturday Night Live sketch or a 10-minute YouTube video. I think it's far too shticky and gimmicky to do something in a movie. I think it would just be ridiculous. Not to mention, Tobey Maguire's in his 40s now, and I don't see it. I've been pretty consistent about that. I love Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2. I love Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man, at least the first one. But I think bringing them back would be far too gimmicky and shticky and something that, a 12-year-old in a film class would do, but I don't think it would work as a motion picture. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on that. Finn Barrett writes, just found out I'm going to be an uncle. That's always cool. I am also an uncle. That's always a cool feeling, man. Congratulations for that Finn. Troika S writes, Palpatine's quote-unquote return doesn't excite me. In the films, he largely feels like he's evil for the sake of it. I've always wanted to see a more rounded villain in the vein of Thrawn or the EU Bane on film. Oh, I gotta disagree. Palpatine has never been evil for the sake of being evil. Palpatine is evil because of a desire and a thirst for power. Whether that power is literal force power or whether that power is political power or whatever. He's not evil for the sake of being evil. He's driven by a desire. The overarching motivation for the Palpatine character is the desire for power. Power over the universe, and even beyond that, power over death itself. And to accomplish those things, he will do anything necessary, yea, even that, which is evil. He's not just saying, I want to spread evil. How can I do it? No. It's his quest for power that lets him do that. To me, that's always been his motivation. And as much as I love, particularly in the Heir to the Empire series, which is where we were first introduced to Grand Admiral Thrawn, and even Bane, I'm honestly not as enamored with Bane as some other people are, to be honest with you. I love Thrawn, but even then, I think Palpatine is a far better character. That's just me, but it's all subjective. You clearly have a different opinion, and your opinion is no less valid than mine, my friend. All right. And where are we at here? Don't know what to put writes. John, Dutch angle is when the camera is tilted or canted. Often it's a cheap gimmick in horror movies to throw the audience off balance, basically. I mean, I know they use that. I thought it worked. I like the cinematography of it. I thought it gave it a little bit of a stylistic kind of approach to it. I dug it. It worked for me. But hey, that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. It doesn't mean it means to work for you. Let's see. Matsive Jada writes, The Lion King, 55% on Rotten Tomatoes will affect box office. Again, I'm seeing 68 right now. But you might be seeing at a different point. Listen, there are hundreds of reviews to come. Might finish higher, might finish lower. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Lion King, where are we at right now? Auto000 writes, Lion King wins best visual effects, right? Hard to say right now. Lion King is an animated film. It's an animated movie. It's like a lot of people still call it a live action film. It's an animated movie. So a lot of times, I can't remember when the Academy recognized an animated film for best visual effects, because everything about this movie is an animated film. It's not a live action film with visual effects. It's a 100% animated film. Other than what Jon Favreau said, there was one shot that had something in it that wasn't animated, but I don't know what that is. So I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say it would be a shoo-in, because it all depends on how they choose to approach it and look at it, I guess. So we'll have to wait and see. Hideaway Killer writes, watched Hellboy last night. Wasn't that bad. Think it would have done great with the original cast. Hellboy makeup seemed very restrictive to David's face. I don't know. I thought the movie was quite bad, but I actually thought David Harbour was fantastic in the role. I'm not saying he was better or worse than the original guy, but I always just call him Clay. But I thought he was really quite good. I thought he embodied the character great. I actually, for the most part, liked the casting. Ian McShane was great as well and all that kind of stuff, but just the story wasn't there. It was a script issue. Plus, and we've talked a lot about all the behind-the-scenes drama that happened with it, so yeah, I don't think this movie works any better with the original script, cast, because I thought the problem was the script and the storytelling, the mess that the movie was in. I actually thought the performances were quite good. Evelyn writes, as special videos during Comic-Con like with CinemaCon. As special videos during... Oh, are you asking me if I'm going to do videos from Comic-Con? Yes, I am going to be doing daily videos from Comic-Con. Live streams as well. I'm going to be doing live streams from Comic-Con. So don't worry, while I'm at Comic-Con, live streams from Comic-Con, talking about all the things going on at Comic-Con. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Evelyn. All right. And the final question today comes to us from Matthew Grant, who writes, if Scarlet Spider was to be in the MCU, it would be Tom Holland. Scarlet Spider is Peter Parker's clone. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. So what Matthew is referring to is everything that came out of the whole Ben Reilly stuff in the whole Spider-Man, the clone saga that went on in Spider-Man. But you're making an assumption. you're making an assumption that the comic book movie industry has proven over and over again that they don't follow, which is you're making an assumption that if they did a Scarlet Spider, they're going to do it just the way it was done in the comic books. And we've seen many, many, many times that quite often when doing a character from the comic books, they don't do them as they were in the comic books, right? Like they just did Mysterio in Far From Home. I'm not going to give away any big secrets, but in a way that he's never been done in the comic books before, right? When you look at examples we bring up all the time, X-Men Days of Future Past, the movie is hardly anything like the graphic novel series of X-Men Days of Future Past. Some thematic similarities, but other than that, it's very, very different. Civil War, the movie is very different from the graphic novel incarnation. Some similar thematic things, absolutely, but a lot of details massively change. So if they ever did Scarlet Spider, no, it by no means would it necessarily be Tom Holland, because it doesn't mean they would have to follow what they did in saying that he's just a clone or the Ben Reilly thing. They don't have to do that. And I'm actually going to go out on a limb and guess that they wouldn't do that. And I think we've seen many examples in comic book movies over the years that kind of point to that. But anyway, that's just my thought on that. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Chris Carr and Aaron Cummings for being here a little bit earlier. Make sure you guys follow them on social media. And by the way, you can follow me on social media as well, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place, simply at John Campea. That's my overall social media handle. You guys can follow me there. And thank you to you guys for sending in all the great questions, because you gave us fun stuff to talk about and you supported the channel along the way as you were doing it. Keep your eyes open for a little bit later today with part 2 of the Spider-Man Far From Home spoiler discussion. That should be going up a little bit later today. And of course, I'll be back again tomorrow for the Friday edition of the John Campea Show. Make sure you guys plan on joining me then. Guys, thank you for being a part of the film fan community and having the discussion with me and giving me fun people to talk to every day. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.